Oh, you didn't know? Yo ass better call somebody! This podcast proudly presents to you the zero-time tag team champions of the world, the Road Dog, JJ Brownlee, the badass, JB Faulkner, Total Spotfest Live, with the ninth wonder of the world, Nick.
And welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us again this week on Total Spotfest Live. I am JJ Brownlee, and along with me, as always, is Jamie Faulkner.
Hello.
And, of course, we are graced by the ninth wonder of the world, Nick.
What's up?
Oh, it's a Nick day. No, I'm kidding.
They're in the house.
We love you, Nick. We love you. So,
No, we
lot
don't.
to talk about this week. Before we get really into it, I do want to let everybody know that even though we're only a couple episodes in, we're already kind of shifting our format up. So the intention was to do this as a once-a-week podcast. And while that's a good idea in thought, we think that there's too much really to cover in just one podcast without it being insanely long. So we're going to break it up. We're going to do two podcasts every week. So we're still going to have this one that we release every Wednesday, available on all your favorite platforms. But also on the same place, we're going to release every Friday a second podcast. So they'll be a little bit shorter. I think last time we ran right past that 2-hour mark. So we want to kind of keep them a little bit shorter for people. And on Fridays, we'll talk about AEW and NXT, the Wednesday night wars, if you will. And then the one we do on Wednesdays will be kind of WWE encompassing SmackDown, RAW, as well as other goings around in the wrestling industry. So that's starting this week. That's going to happen. This particular podcast is going to be covering all of the last week in wrestling, but starting on Friday, we will have it split. So the two podcasts a week. Friday is going to be AEW and NXT, and then Wednesday is going to be our WWE review and other stuff. So
Pretty stoked. And ladies and gentlemen, please do not forget to follow us on Twitter at Total Spotfest. That is at Total Spotfest.
indeed. So how you guys doing today? Everybody doing good?
Yeah.
It was a day, JJ.
It doesn't
was
matter
a
what
day.
the fuck you say, Nick.
It was indeed a day. I don't know where you guys are listening from, but it's pretty much cold darn near everywhere. And certainly in the center of the country here, it was bone-chilling cold. I had to go to the grocery store today, and I'm a guy that can handle the cold. And even I was just like, ooh, that's brisk. That's bad.
Yeah. I froze a little bit today. My wife actually went out. I applaud her. She is a saint on multiple levels. But yes, it is pretty damn cold.
Pretty damn cold.
I would describe it as spiteful.
Spitefully cold. I like that. It'll be fun because this Sunday is NXT TakeOver, which we're going to talk about in just a few moments. And we're supposed to go over to Jamie's house and watch it. Jamie, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not excited about trekking down to your house. It's going to be.
It's not at my place. It's at Nick's place this time.
Oh, is that Nick's place? Is that one
right.
of your assholes' place? I don't remember.
It's not quite the trek. It's still a bit of a trek, but not quite the trek.
Okay,
I make the trek this time. It's me who makes the trek.
It's somewhere not my comfortable. It's somewhere where I have to actually leave from the warmth into the cold. So I'm just spiteful at these two a-holes no matter what.
Fair.
All right, so we're gonna break this up into segments today. So we're gonna talk about NXT, then we're gonna talk about AEW, then we're gonna kind of ball up all of WWE into one neat little package. So I'm gonna start with talking about NXT, and then just so you guys are aware, we are gonna flip flop this every week. So it's not gonna be like just one of us watches NXT every week and one of us watches AEW. So we're just gonna mix it up to keep it a little fresh. So this week I'm doing NXT, and we're gonna start with that. This is the go-home show for NXT TakeOver. What is it? Stomping Grounds? I already forget. Holy crap.
Vengeance Day.
I don't know where Stomping Grounds came from. Okay. Vengeance Day. My bad. Because Valentine's Day, Vengeance Day. So it started off with I say it's the go home show. I apologize. That's wrong already. I'm already screwing up. This coming week is the go home show. So
Yes.
when you hear this, it's tonight is the go home show. So it started off with the first semifinal. Excuse me. Sorry about that. The first semifinal for the Women's Dusty Cup Classic. And it was Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez versus Casey Catanzaro. Canzaro. Oh, man. I'm sorry, Casey.
Done messed up.
I always mess. There's like 4 or 5 names that I constantly just butcher, no matter how hard I try. But Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter. It's a very good match. Caden Carter and Catanzaro, they've had good push from the crowd, but because of their size, they're both like 5 foot, if that. And especially Casey. Casey's just go from American Ninja Warrior, for those of you who are not 100% in on who she is, but she's like soaking wet, like 95 pounds, just tiny, but because of that, they kind of get looked over a lot, although they got good fan push lately. So that being said, the match was really good. There was some good spots back and forth. It wasn't just Raquel Gonzalez just stomping the living crap out of both of them. Dakota Kai is good as always. She's gotten so much better ever since her dark turn. She's just light years better than what she used to be. Raquel Gonzalez is indeed a star of the future. I look at her as the modern day China. I really do.
That's a bold statement, especially with the ninth wonder in our midst right now.
I know. We have the real ninth wonder sitting by here, and I don't know. I see it from her physique, her presence, and the way she can put on a match. Like her matches with Rhea were fantastic. That last woman standing match from about a month ago or whatever. Oh my God, that was just unbelievable. So
yeah, and I love her one-arm powerbomb. I think that is just a thing of beauty. Like, get through the match, and because that thing is just spectacular.
It is. And it's a great move. It's not a move like the regular choke slam that lends itself to, as you age, you don't do it as well. See Abyss from TNA for reference, or anybody else that's ever done a choke slam. But you got that extra support with your left hand. It looks good. I mean, it's devastating when you have a smaller opponent like she had tonight. Which, spoiler alert, winners were Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Kind of saw that coming. As I said, Casey and Caden were the underdogs. They won last week in surprising fashion anyway. Casey Canzaro did have some ridiculous spots she pulled off. One of them was both Raquel and Dakota got knocked out to the outside of the ring, and she jumped from the hardest part of the ring, the apron, off of the back of Raquel Gonzalez onto the scaffolding for the lighting structure, climbed up about like 10 feet or so on the lighting structure, and then it kind of did a back half turn into a full body press on both of them. And it's like, okay, that's impressive. And her new finishing move is this ridiculous, it's like a 450 back 1.5 from the top rope. I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah, it's like it's a full gainer senton. It's just crazy. It's cool.
It looks good.
She hasn't hit it right yet though. But
and last week, the week before, or the match before, I think it was 2 weeks ago, when she pulled it off for the first time, it was like ooh, and she didn't hit it right, but it still was convincing. This one here, she didn't hit it right either, and it's kind of a little more obvious.
Mm-hmm. She hit her feet and it's like, oh, we'll fall backwards. I mean, it still looked cool, so we're gonna give her cool points. But for devastation, I mean, it's 93 pounds, so I don't know how devastating that really would be.
But it's the Rey Mysterio molds what they're gonna follow. She's not gonna overpower anybody, okay? Yeah. But she can do some ridiculous. I mean, her American Ninja Warrior background, she can do ridiculous things, So. Good on her, but it was a good match. I thought it was good. It didn't make them look bad, and it really boosted up Gonzalez and Dakota Kai. So they're going to be in the finals at TakeOver. Next, After that was a real quick promo. Just trying to remember here. Look at my notes. Oh, Tony Storm. So real quick Tony Storm promo. Talking about vying for the title, and the feud's going to be. They kind of released it during the promo. It's going to be Tony Storm versus Io versus Martinez in a triple threat at Takeover for the women's title belt.
So let me ask something real quick. Do you think Poppy's going to perform for EO again?
No.
Yeah, I don't. Not right. Not in the world of COVID. Not right now. I don't.
She did one earlier in the world of COVID. Like,
what was that?
Wasn't it?
Oh yeah. Which one was that? Was that the Mania weekend takeover?
In your house. It was the In Your House one.
Okay.
I think the one that she won.
It's potential. They are actually like friends, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
So do you think this is the time they're going to take the belt off? We'll talk about it more next week.
We'll talk about that coming. Yeah, let's talk about that more later on. So I want to get through the show here first, and then because they actually did the full card run through at the end. So we'll talk about the card a little bit more in depth. Let's talk about the show itself because there were some other good spots. After the promo was Austin Theory, who is part of the Gargano Way, the Way.
This is the way.
I don't like how they're bastardizing the Mandalorian a little bit, but I kind of do. So, it's
Nope. Hard pass.
hard pass.
Pass.
I'm not a big fan of it, but then again, I'm a big fan of Gargano. I think that he's gotten so good in his creative work. I just love it. But
Same.
Austin Theory, Leon Ruff. Now, on paper as a match, I would have been like meh too, but it was actually a pretty good match. Much better than I thought it was going to be. Leon has got fantastic talent, but he just, as much as I like Leon, he just is. He needs some mass. He is a twig of a man, and if he had 30 pounds on him, or 20 pounds of muscle, let's say, if he had just like 20, 25 pounds of muscle on him, I could buy him as a legitimate cruiserweight or other title contender. I just think that he looks so unpolished, even though he's got good skill. It's a detriment, I think, to his character.
You know who you sound like right now?
Okay, who?
You sound like Bruce Pritchard.
All right.
That guy, if he's a star, if he just had 30 pounds on, why don't we give him some Decadurabolin and get him going? Let's do this. Yeah.
He does kind of have that Chris Rock and I'm going to get you sucker physique going. he can stand a protein shaker too.
His face looks exactly like, and I can't remember the guy's name exactly. He's been in a bunch of movies, anywho, all that beside, it was a good match. Austin Theory, since he's come back down to NXT, he's so much better than that when he was part of Zelina Vega's Trove of Beautiful Men on Raw. He's so much better. He fits well as the bumbling idiot in Johnny Gargano's quote-unquote family. And he's got the talent. So it was a good match. Theory won that, of course, which led us into a video package of Xia Li explaining the Tian Shan mythical creature, which is the reason for her transfer. I didn't understand this. I'm not gonna lie. I watched it like 3 times, and I'm like, the whole Xia Li thing. For if you guys hadn't been following her, there was this guy who looked like a triad boss. It was very blatant they were going with the whole Chinese triad kind of angle. That disappointed because her and Bo, what the guy's name? Bo something or another.
Bo Dallas? I'm kidding.
Definitely not Bo Dallas. That would have been hilarious though. If he was still with WWE.
Yeah.
But the Chinese male, and I apologize, but the Chinese male competitor of Bo, where they kept losing, and so he kept showing disappointment, and they were giving him a piece of letter with like a Chinese character on it, and it was all ominous. And then for weeks they were showing this montage of them being tortured, training and tortured at the same time. I thought it was a kick-ass angle. It was so cool. They were doing this whole like Chinese triad, Chinese mafia style, whatever. And now there's this video explaining that instead of sitting in the chair being this like kind of, Godfather person, it is this spirit of this ancient Chinese warrior woman who had avenged her family from a dragon. And for one, it's a weird swerve. I don't know. For them to like completely disregard all that weeks they put into this whole like triad mafia angle to just be like, oh no, it's like an ancient Chinese tradition. Like, why did you just start with that? There's nothing wrong with either of these angles.
It's like Caligon from Wade's World. You guys remember that whole thing?
I bet you
Chinese
somebody
secret
tapped him
hub.
on the shoulder and was like, hey, maybe this might upset somebody that is important. So yeah, a funny thing too is Megan, my daughter Megan, she actually has a theory about who this person is. Like for reals. So you guys might not remember this name, but evidently, I mean, her markdom for NXT goes to no bounds, I guess. But Karen Q? Have you guys heard that name? Karen Q? She tore her ACL. She was in developmental, and she's gonna get a push, and then she just kind of went away. She thinks that's this person. So we'll find out. But yeah.
I'm all for it. I think Xia Li, since she got past her squat was beef with management. Management is having beef with her because she wanted to do MMA as well as wrestle, and she just did because NXT stars were kind of exempt of WWE's whole no outside promotion because they are the very literal term of an independent contractor. Even though Vince McMahon says that everybody's an independent contractor. That NXT stars actually were, but they weren't real big on her doing that, and they got past it now. And I'm glad she's getting a good push though, because she's got very good skill, and it's good. I don't watch the video. You can watch it on YouTube or on Twitter. It's just I don't get it. I know that though. I have hope that we'll get more explanation into this, so it makes sense. But then again, I also know history, and I don't have a lot of faith that they're going to get the video to have it make sense. So we'll see.
Yeah.
So that led us into the first, or the last. Hold on a second here. The second to last. Okay, the first quarterfinal of the night, the third quarterfinal in total for the men's Dusty Cup Tag Team Classic.
There you go.
If it's not confusing, it is because there's only like four teams in the women's division, or 8 teams, and there's like 16. Anyway, so
yeah,
the first of the two final quarterfinals tonight was Lucha House Party, who, if you remember from just a couple days ago, fresh off their loss for the Raw Tag Team Championships. Okay, but them versus Legado del Fantasma. And it was for Legado, of course, that's Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza. Which is interesting because I'm pretty sure that Joaquin Wilde is actually like Pacific Islander and not Mexican, but he's lumped in with this like whole Mexican luchador mafia. So whatever, get past it because that's what they want us to do. This was actually another one where I wasn't super excited on. Going into the night, I didn't think this was going to be a great card for NXT, and it was a pretty impressive show. Lucha House Party shows you why they're so underutilized. Grand Metalik one that one day I'm gonna do a wrestler spotlight on him because this is a man who, like, there's a term that Jamie likes to use a lot. It's called X-Pac heat, and it's the man. And for those of you who don't know what it is out there, it is the action of hating somebody just because they are that person. Like, no matter what happens, they just, we hate them beyond belief. People have gotten X-Pac heat recently, have been face Roman Reigns, Nia Jax, people that just get crapped on because they exist. Grand Metalik, for those of you who are not aware, is the person that literally almost started riots because of the heat that he would get when he was wrestling. He was like the biggest villain in all of Mexican wrestling for a while there. He was a mega star, and he's a little bit past his prime now, but he's still got ridiculous skill. And he was always just kind of just lumped in. Here's some other luchadors. Go have fun. That being said, he got to show there were some really good spots in this here. At one point in time, I think it was Mendoza was on the outside of the ring, and then the Lucha House Party had strung up Wild on the top rope, and then Metalik climbed up the turnbuckles and then walked across the top rope and then went up and did a Hurricane Rana of Wild off the top rope onto Mendoza on the floor. It was ridiculous. It was grand, and it was followed up with a stupid backflip by the other one in Lucha House Party. And it was really cool. It was really cool. Now, it ended up being that Legado del Fantasma got the win, because there's no way Lucha House Party is going to make it to the finals. Let's be honest. They're just there for, I don't know why. They just keep getting buried more and more and more. So whatever. So Legado del Fantasma won. That was followed up with a very awkward trash talk promo by MSK.
Yeah, that was weird. It felt uncomfortable.
It was so weird. They did not have good rhythm at all. MSK's brand new tag team, if you have not been watching NXT, they were part of a group in Impact previously called the Rascals.
Rascals.
Yeah, Rascals. And what's interesting is they were very much the two sidekicks in the Rascals. There's the leader of the Rascals, the guy who got all the singles game, was Trey Miguel? I wrote it down here. I can't
Miguel.
See, I butcher names. This is what happens, guys. Like, if Nick's name wasn't so hard, I'd butcher the hell out of it just because of who he is.
I mean, that seems fair.
It's all right. These things happen.
I know. But they did a very awkward promo, and their mic skills are obviously not the greatest, but it's going to be those two next week for the semifinals match, first semifinal match of the men's Dusty Rhodes Classic. So follow that up. Then you had Pete Dunne and Finn Balor doing a very British face-to-face in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was thick in Britishism, and I usually don't get on accents too much, but Pete Dunne is not great on the mic, and that's kind of his character. You know, speak softly and carry a devastating knee. You know.
Says, please, Finn, I want some more.
He needs Pat McAfee in his life. That's all there is to it. He needs to be his mouthpiece.
The whole group of I mean, Dunn worked so well as just the silent badass in McAfee's corner. Mm-hmm. Only Lorcan and Danny Burch are just basically like spinning their wheels, basically, kind of, in my opinion. Anyway, if you're not going to have them as part of this McAfee thing, then they don't make a lot of sense together. What's interesting is they obviously got some cred at Enterprise because they got an upgrade in their rental car before the commercial when Pete Dunne was actually out at the ring. Showed them driving up the Performance Center, and here they come in a brand new Tahoe as opposed to a brand new Ford Fusion. So, yes, these are the little things
points,
that I
baby.
noticed.
They get them points.
Yeah, I know. It makes no sense whatsoever, and I know. Whatever, but they did that. But it's square off, and of course, it's going to be the two of them meeting at Takeover. That leads to Edge coming out and doing his best 2020 Charlotte Flair impersonation.
Oh God, it's terrible.
Ooh.
I'm sorry.
I mean, there's options. I could go to Raw. I could go to Roman Reigns, but I've never held this. Pointing at the NXT Championship.
It's like, intriguing to me.
It's like
Edge, you're not going to wrestle for the NXT title at you're wrestling Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Everybody knows this.
Looks like you just got done wrestling at like the Budweiser stand at a Willie Nelson concert. That's the look he's got right now, with just that homeless scruff going. Like, you remember that band Puddle of Mud?
Oh yeah.
He looks like Wes Scantlin after he got off the baggage claim on that bender, and then the mug shot. We'll have to throw it up on Twitter. That's the look he's going with. And all I'm saying is I'm sick of looking at him, and I want him to go away.
Well, that's not going to happen. He is our number one contender for something. So you gotta string them
is
along.
it like a COVID angle? Do you think? You think Vince was like, look, we need somebody that looks really ill and sick, and somebody that looks like they're really under the weather, just to give the people something to relate to? Is that what we're doing here?
Maybe
never thought of that
Maybe
way.
that's Vince's first admission that there is a virus that's been going around the world. So
Somebody that's up to sell some Pedialyte.
Yeah. All right, Edge. This is what we're doing. You gotta look like you're sick as hell, but not HIV sick, but like COVID sick.
NXT Takeover brought to you by Pedialyte.
You ever seen Dallas Buyers Club? I want you to do that.
Okay, I think that's going a bit far, man. That's a bit far, even for me.
Let's just back that truck right on up.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nick the Dick has just entered the room. Nick the Dick, table for one.
Yeah, Ninth Wonder Nick is gone. Nick the Dick is here.
All Edge has to do is walk away.
Well, we all know he's not going to be there, but they're trying to prop up ratings for all three shows by doing the, who's he going to face? Anywho. After that, they moved into another promo backstage of Gargano, talking to this different announced person, and she reveals to him that his match at TakeOver is going to be against Kushida, which I am so excited for until about 5 minutes before our show started.
Yes.
Jamie told me something that disturbed me to no end.
So, on the Twitters, WWE NXT said, is Johnny Takeover not going to be at Takeover? And it was a video of Austin Theory saying Kushida hurt him with their whole little scuffle at NXT. So we'll see. I wonder if it's a work. I wonder if it's a real thing. I think we'll probably know a lot more about it on Wednesday.
It's a work.
For what it's worth, he did basically throw him through a door that was prominently shut and not a fake door. It was very much a door that got unlatched because of Gargano's body going through it. So, who knows? Maybe.
Yeah.
If it does happen at TakeOver, this is the match I've been waiting for weeks because this match is going to steal the show of any show that it's on. Gargano, Kushida, thank you. Please give me more. After that, we had the Robert Stone brand making its illustrious return. And I don't know what you guys think. I love the Robert Stone brand. It's terrible. I love it. It's so bad. It's great.
It's like a bad movie. You have to watch. Like, it's Howard the Duck for me, man. Like, I will watch Howard the Duck. It's terrible. I only watch it for one reason only, because it's terrible. And that's Robert Stone brand to me.
Robert Stone is the Howard the Duck of WWE. I love it. So, Robert Stone Brown with his newest acquisition, Jessie Kamea, who, while she was in, and I don't want to turn into fashion police here, but her outfit was just ridiculous, okay? She's a former volleyball player. She's like 6 foot tall. She's got big, long, strong legs. She's got all the workings that can be a really good superstar, and her outfits are just horrible. Every time they put her in like the worst outfits. So I'm not going to get into it, but terrible. And the only reason I dwell on that is because she had a match with Toni Storm. That match lasted all of 2 minutes.
Was it 2 minutes? It was a squash for sure.
It was a squash. It was a squash that Jessie actually won because interrupted by Mercedes Martinez, who, as we previously said, is fighting Toni Storm and Io Shirai at TakeOver for the women's title. And when she got in the ring, she was going after Toni Storm, and Jessie Kamea gets in there, spins her around, and gets punched in the face, and that, of course, sends her halfway across the ring and out. But hey, Jessie Kamea, Robert Stone brand. That's a win right there. There you go. These are the two of them brawling in the middle of Storm and Martinez fighting back and forth. Here comes Io Shirai, and we haven't really talked about Io that much because she hasn't really been featured on anything we talked about yet on this podcast. But all three of us big Io Shirai fans. She is the top of the top of women's wrestling worldwide, has been there for a while. We love Dark Io. The whole turn on Candice was fantastic, perfectly done. It's a shame they don't have the crowd there because she had won the crowd over well before she got the win over from NXT management, and we love her. She's great. She's fantastic. I hope they don't bring her up to Raw or SmackDown because they will just mess it up. Something fierce.
Yeah,
but
she'll become Asuka, who like just kind of disappeared, and they just gave her the belt just like to make her happy. It's like no. We like watching her wrestle. She's good. Like we want to see it.
Asuka's become a caricature of herself, which is just stupid. But Io comes down, and she, like a badass, just gets up and sits kind of cross-legged on the top turnbuckle, just kind of, with her arms, with her belt on her shoulder, just looking at the two of them fight each other. Fantastic. A sick headbutt by Storm leads both of them to fall out of the ring, and they keep going at each other. And so Io goes over to the other turnbuckle, does a moonsault on the both of them, gets in the ring, puts her belt up. It should be a good match. The three of them are very talented. If you remember back to the second Mae West Women's Classic, that's a throwback to
Mae Young. You said Mae West again.
No.
Jesus.
Nick said it last week.
yes.
That's why I was giving a throwback to his fuck up. Okay.
It was a reference. I caught you, JJ. I caught it.
God damn it.
Jamie didn't catch. Okay, all right, but yeah. So the second Mae Young Classic final at Evolution was face Io Shirai versus kind of more young and innocent Toni Storm, and it was a banger of a match. So those two can do it. Mercedes Martinez, she's like 40 years old now, so she's been in the industry for a while, but she still has got game. It should be a fantastic triple threat match. So look for that. That'd be good.
Io Shirai, second best moonsault in the business.
Who's the first?
The owner of the BME, Christopher Daniels. It's the
Okay,
best moonsault ever. I mean, it's coined and accurate.
I would say it's coined that. And I love CD, but I don't know. The over 50 club doesn't have the best. I'm going with Io on this. Io, I get behind you.
I mean, Lacey Evans has got a pretty sick one too. Just saying. I mean, it's not Io.
Well, we'll never see it, but that's for another show and a later discussion. So after that whole breakdown there, we had a quick promo by Lone Star Curtis Stallion.
Lone Star.
And that leads into a great story here. I don't want to get us off the rails too much, but Curtis Stallion is a guy that we saw. Were you there with us, Nick, when we saw Lone Star?
Absolutely.
He's there every time we went. Every time we went to
No,
Journey
he
Pro.
wasn't. He missed two of the shows, and because he missed seeing Joey Ryan, and then there was another one he missed.
No, I'm talking about Lone Star. Every time Curtis Lone Star
All right.
he was there every
Nick
week.
was there. I gotcha. So Journey Pro, which is our local promotion, which we can't wait to go see them again. Hopefully they're still around, knock on wood, when COVID subsides and we get back to normalcy. We can't wait to go see them live again. But they have a very good job. They're not a big promotion, but they seem to get people, the right people, through their ranks. For example, last week, Jamie made mention Shotzi Blackheart. Somebody passed through Journey Pro. Kylie Ray has been through Journey Pro. Elena Black, who is now Cora Jade.
Cora Jade, yes. She showed up one time for that Zillow Pro thing.
She was our sister promotion, but still, we saw her at Journey Pro. But one of those guys too. So they get a lot of regional people, that come through, and Curtis Stallion, Lone Star, was one of them. So it's comforting to us. Oh, and also Danny Burch we saw through the previous promotion that became Journey Pro.
Yeah, NWL.
National Wrestling League, and it was spelled that way, yes. So we've actually, while Kansas City, I know a lot of people might be listening out there saying it's like Kansas City's not a hotbed. What the hell? You guys don't know. You guys don't know good local wrestling.
You're right.
It's not, but we do have glimmers of hope every now and then, and so Journey Pro is one of them. If you follow them on Twitter, follow them on Facebook, Instagram, the whole 9 yards. Hopefully they'll be back soon rather than later, but can't wait to see him again. Lone Star, we got to see. So he cut a quick little promo, and then it was his match versus Santos Escobar. And I was excited to see Stallion actually in the match. He's fought, I think, 2 matches so far, and they were squash-ish. They weren't, whatever.
He won a battle royal in order to get the shot at the Cruiserweight channel. That's the only thing I've seen of him.
it's good to actually see him get into a good match because he was a good performer. We really liked him. He had elbow pads that were way too big for his arms, and it's good to know that that hasn't changed. His elbow pads still do enough fit his body. So I couldn't help but think that over and over. And the reason I say that is because this match was a snoozer of a match. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just technically. If you're a fan of Santos Escobar and you're a fan of technical wrestling, this was your hard-on. This match was everything it was for you because it was just move after move, hold after hold submission, submission, hold, submission. Quick little shot by Stallion and back into another hold and a submission and a hold and a hold. And overshadowed by this, which I got to say is the weirdest angle that NXT's been doing, and that says something, in the past 6 months when it relates to Scarlett and Karrion Kross. So last week before, sometime soon, sometime in the recent history, I don't remember exactly when, Santos Escobar was either like going back from the ring or coming. Anyway, he ran into Scarlett and was basically trying to be, macho it up, to her, which is a terrible idea because her boyfriend literally could rip the head off of anybody in the building. Mm-hmm. Don't hit on that chick. Just don't do it.
Yeah,
but he did.
There's plenty of other fish in that sea. They're there.
I know,
Leave
right?
that one line. Yeah.
It's like, come on, bro. It's like Dakota Kai's single, maybe, or her boyfriend's not Karrion Kross. I know that if there is one. So,
yeah. He might be able to kick his ass. Go for guys.
So I don't know what this angle is because while part of me thinks that that might be a good match, Santos Escobar is the cruiserweight champion, and there is absolutely no reason that somebody at the level of Karrion Kross is going to be feuding with a cruiserweight champion. But regardless, during the whole match, they kept going back to behind where the announcers were and up on this riser was Scarlett in what I can best describe as an outfit, and her outfits are glorious. Whoever, I don't know if it's the same person, if it's still Sasha Banks' husband that does all the outfits for NXT like he does for Sasha and for most of the main roster talent, but whoever does the outfits for her should get a daytime Emmy or something because they are just ridiculous. I can best describe it as BDSM Macho Man, Randy Savage.
She's just missing the sunglasses, man. That's all she is missing.
It was like this pink, red, lacy, kind of see-through, sequinedy, One Piece sort of style thing. And the whole arms from wrist to, of course, the arms had the built-in gloves with the cat claws because that's her thing. And then from wrist to armpit had the Macho Man style fringe hanging down. And I'm just like, and for the life of me, that thought got in my head. And that's all I could think of during this terrible waste of a match. Just BDSM Macho Man, BDSM Macho Man. He probably did that in his rap days, and it was bad. For me, I mean, it was whatever for the match. The match eventually ended, of course, like everybody can guess. We finally Santos put Lone Star out of his misery. I don't understand. They're not using him right. I don't know if it's all part of his learning experience. I hope not, because I really like Lone Star. Yes, we're going to just call him Lone Star no matter what. Sorry. You have that as part of your name. You don't get called anything else. And if you don't know what the reference is that Jamie keeps quoting, please Google it because it offends us that you don't know that.
Yeah. Okay, just watch Spaceballs, okay? Just do yourself a favor.
You gave him an out. You're a better man than I.
Spaceballs.
It's Spaceballs. It's from Spaceballs.
Not Space Pants. Not Peter Dinklage's Space Pants.
Watch that too, though.
Spaceballs. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
So that after the match, Karrion Kross comes out, destroys Wild and Mendoza, and then he scolds Escobar. Basically what would happen in real life. Like, hey, you don't talk to my woman. It's like, stop it. And Escobar stood there kind of just, trying to look at him be hardcore. I don't know where this is going. I don't, as I said, I don't know what the point of this is. Whatever. So
it feels like a Bruce Pritchard angle.
Unfortunately, it kind of does.
It does, doesn't it?
On paper, like I said, if Escobar's getting a bigger push, I'm cool with that. He's a talented wrestler. I think that it might be fun to watch him and Karrion, but Karrion's got title shot firmly in his eyes. He's got Cole, who he can always feud with, Finn Balor, Pete Dunne, any big shot. Even Gargano. I think Gargano. If Gargano ever turned back to face, that'd be a incredible match. Cross and Gargano for Johnny's redemption story. Ciampa, he's got to settle the score with Cross. I mean, there's so many other ways that he can go, but whatever. It's a thing. Let's move past it.
Yes, please.
Commercial break, come back, and Karrion Kross is getting ready to, Edge, excuse me, I've already spoiled it, but Edge is getting ready to leave, walks out the door, and there's Karrion Kross leaving in his Challenger, and then they have a little face-off, and Edge, Karrion basically tells him, there's no reason for him to be here, that his title is his, and he's got business, and, whatever, and then Edge basically says that he basically insinuates that he could beat the shit out of Karrion Kross, and this is something that I might have been excited for a decade ago.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Edge. Perfect. We don't want to see you get murdered on live television. Although we did on Raw last week, so there's that. But
yeah, you're saved by a 5-foot blonde with chocolate sauce coming out of her mouth. That's what you got saved by.
I know. So. It's just another Edge thing, and then the final match of your main event of the night was the final of the quarterfinals of the Men's Dusty Road Classic, Undisputed Era versus the logical tag team of Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher, and it's just weird that they instantly go from trying to kill each other in their whole fight pit to a tag team that's moving up along the Dusty Rhodes Classic. I'm sorry. It was literally later that night that they actually did the first round match on 205 Live. It doesn't make any damn sense. But the match itself was good. It was built fantastic. Nice, slow, easy start. As you'd expect, Ciampa, Cole, lots of history. Strong's a pro. Thatcher, even though I don't love his character, he's got very good ring skills, very good mat skills. The four of them could put on a good match, and it was a good match. It was a very good match, built the proper way, nice crescendo to it. It was only about a 12 or 13-minute match, but the last 5 minutes were just a complete spot fest, just one after another. Move after hard move, big move, hard move, just stupid stuff over the rope, on the outside, on the inside, near fall here and there. Fantastic wrestling. If you like good wrestling and you stick to WWE, this is why you watch on Wednesday nights, because it was great. Ended with Thatcher and Ciampa winning. Once again, I don't really get them as a tag team.
But listen to this, okay?
Oh, okay, Bruce, what's up?
We're gonna have a former world champion mentor somebody that he's been feuding with for months, and then they're going to become a team. You know what we're going to call them? The Mega Powers. We're going to call them the Mega Powers. That's what's going to happen, because it's already fucking happened before. Hogan, Macho Man, the Mega Power.
You're not wrong.
That's exactly what this thing is. It's like, come on, man. It's like the old tricks are not always the best tricks there. I mean, Jim Cornette is probably creaming his pants over it, because that's just Jim Cornette style right there.
Oh, please not pulling Jim Cornette into this podcast.
No, it's the only time I'm ever going to say his name, because he's a piece of trash. But whatever. I digress.
It's true that, and I don't disagree with that. But regardless, the show was really good. Couple highlights as well. I do want to make one mention I forgot to say. I don't know why, but they keep referring to Scarlett as the Angel of Doom, which is kind of cool, but stupid, silly, cheesy.
It's dumb. It's dumb.
Okay, thank you. It is pretty dumb. I mean,
it's a T-shirt.
As a name, it's kind of cool. It's like, yeah, that's badass. But in this instance, it's just like, okay, stop it. Takeover card set now for the most part. We don't know about the Hikushida Gargano thing. I guess we'll find out this week on Raw. No,
Tune in Wednesday.
This week on what show is this? NXT. Hello.
Yeah.
But we got Finn Balor versus Dunn for the NXT Championship. Io Shirai, Toni Storm, Mercedes Martinez, and a triple threat for the women's title. We'll find out. Like I said, Gargano, is it going to be? Well, who knows? But we do have the men's and women's finals. The women's will be set. They'll both be settled this week because this week you have the second semifinal and both male semifinals. So we will know what's up for the rest of TakeOver. And that was NXT. You guys have any other thoughts on NXT this week?
I thought it was solid. You're right. Like, one match I thought was going to be a good match ended up being a total snooze fest in Santos and Lone Star. But
did you really think it'd be a good match, or did you just want it to be a good match? Lone Star.
I wanted it to be a good match just because of the Journey Pro tie there. I really want to see. Like when Jake something's on Impact, even though I don't get Access TV or whatever, but I want him to do good. And the Regal Twins, they're out in New Japan, the United States branch. Like I want all these guys that we've seen at Journey Pro do good stuff. And it's like you watch this match, you're just like, oh my god, like, damn. It's almost like he wasn't ready for the big time, is what it felt like. I consider it the equivalent of putting a microphone in Lance Storm's hand.
Touche. Nick, do you have any final thoughts on NXT? All right. Well, Nick's being our very own Angel of Doom. We're going to move over to Dynamite now. Jamie is going to lead us through this past week's unbelievable, that's a spoiler, I know, Dynamite.
Yeah, it was a banger of a show. I'm just going to call it out right now so we can set the tone. All right, so
before you get going, I do want to say we got to talk, but we got to have some sort of like rating thing we're going to do for shows moving. We'll talk about that maybe in the next few weeks here, but yeah. Sorry,
that's a good idea. So this was such a banger of a show. How much of a banger, you ask? It of course dominated in the ratings again. AEW Dynamite is drawing big numbers right now. It's going to crack 1 million before too long, consistently. That's my opinion, especially when NXT moves to Peacock. But all right, so first match of the night, we started off with the AEW Tag Team Title #1 Contender Battle Royale. It had tons of great teams. Jurassic Express, Sammy Guevara and Jake Hagar, also known as Sammy Hagar, MJF and Jericho, Proud and Powerful, the Beaver Boys, the Dark Order, which was Evil Uno and Stu Grayson, which I love them, Top Flight, the Acclaimed, who can't rap, and then the Young Bucks and Private Party.
Who are the Beaver Boys? What the hell is that?
They were just, I don't know who the hell they are. It wasn't Dante Martin. They were, I have no clue.
I don't remember that.
They were in here, and I don't see them. Like, were they the first people knocked out and no one knows? Anyway, so Luchasaurus was out there without his horns, for anybody who saw that with FTR. FTR was not in this because they cut off Luchasaurus's horns on his mask. And so the way this was working is, yes, the tag team champions were in here. If the Young Bucks won, they were able to handpick who they were going to face at Revolution. Well, now the team that wins, if somebody else wins, they get the shot at the Young Bucks at Revolution. So it was solid all the way through. I'm just going to call out the main ones, okay? So you basically had all of the Inner Circle in there, which they did a lot of good stuff, but it came down to MJF and Chris Jericho, Sammy Hagar, Private Party, and of course the Young Bucks. So it was going back and forth. Everything was good. Then freaking the Good Brothers from Impact show up, and they mess with Private Party, which distracts Nick Jackson. He's the younger one with the longer, like lighter brown hair for all those non-Young Buck fans. So he kind of gets distracted by them. They eliminate Private Party, and then he's yelling at the Good Brothers, and then that's when MJF eliminates him and does arguably the best FU move of the entire night when him and Jericho do the Young Buck pose where they do the flex and the lean. It was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I loved it. So at that point, Young Bucks are out, and then it is down to Hagar, Lucha Express, or not Lucha Express, Jurassic Express is already out at this point. So it's Jericho, MJF,
Top Flight.
And Top Flight. Those are the last ones. So Jericho eliminates Sammy, and Sammy gets uber pissed because he hates MJF. So that happens. They knock out Sammy, and then they knock out Darius from Top Flight, and then Jericho and MJF were actually the team who stayed in there together, the only ones. So they win. They are going on to Revolution.
Yeah. I mean, as much as I love Jericho and MJF, I do love them, and I know that they're getting a lot of airwave because the big stars and they're not in the title hunt, so gives them something else to do without just being buried, I think it does. But stuff like this is just here's my thing about it. Why I wasn't crazy sold on the ending is that AEW, and we've talked ad nauseum about this, that has by far the best tag team division in all of wrestling. It is hands down the best. They have. I made mention several times too, on this podcast as well as just in general talkings with you guys, that they have the future big, rivalry in tag team wrestling if they keep them all together between Top Flight, the Acclaimed, and Private Party. Though that can be our modern day Hardy Boys, Dudley's, Edge and Christian. They are all that good and that different, and just like the young talent is great. They have great talent there. They got talent that should be getting over more. Hello, Dark Order, that for some reason doesn't get the opportunities when it comes to title matches. So that's the only reason I wasn't 100% sold on the whole MJF Jericho winning this thing. It's just because, give someone else a shot. Put the Dark Order over. They don't have to win, but give them that match. I'd love to see Stu Grayson, Evil Uno versus the Young Bucks again. At this time at a pay-per-view would be great.
Oh yeah, but I'm an OG Jerichoholic, OG man of 1,004 holds, OG, just to give reference.
1,004, I love it.
Yeah, so I'm a ride or die with Jericho, and then MJF is like the modern day Jericho, and we love him in our house, so we are all in on this whole thing. I do wish that the whole MJF not my champion thing would have lasted longer, because that was just a thing of beauty.
That was a fantastic angle. If he would have shifted and then gone after Cody, I mean, that's where it should have gone. But I digress.
Yeah. So anyway, I think it was. I loved it. Ninth Wonder. What did you think?
They're always on time, and I do represent Les Champions, and of course I'm always behind MJF.
I do want to point out for everybody listening that in that conversation, Nick did pull up his shirt like an NBA person does to show off that he's wearing a Chris Jericho shirt. Even though we're not recording any video, he wanted to make sure that was popped. So I'm giving you your due pop, Nick.
That's right. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, all right. So let's move on to the next match, which honestly was the best match of the night. I'm going to call it out as the best match of the night, in my opinion, and we could definitely have a discussion around this. But it's Britt Baker versus Thunder Rosa. Freaking love this match. It had everything you'd want. And I want to say this was the match that the women's division arrived with, to be honest with you, just the way the storytelling was in there. And maybe they've had something before that or not, but I just absolutely loved, it went back and forth, lots of hard hits, Rebel was out there, which she was cracking me up the whole time. You know, and there was just a lot of passion, and you could just feel the tension, like it's not fake tension, but they made you feel like they hated each other, and you know they're finally getting their aggression out of each other, and it was just a beautiful thing. It came down to Rebel cheating and allowing Britt to get the win with the lockjaw, even though Thunder Rosa was knocked out. So this is definitely not the end of this, because I really appreciate the fact that it wasn't clean, so they have to keep going. I hope it ends in some kind of cage match or a ladder match or something of that matter, because you know it's gonna happen. That's why I have a feeling about the tournament coming up, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But I mean, again, I feel like this was the women's division has arrived, because they've been like getting better. As we all know, they're not at the level of NXT. They're not. I mean, they don't have the talent pool that NXT or even WWE regular has. You know, and they got these young stars who are just getting better and better and better. And this match, I feel like, was like, boom, they're on the map.
This felt a lot like this was the women's division that AEW promised us. Mm-hmm. You know, this is what they made that, and they made the big shtick with Brandy Rhodes saying, you know, equal pay for equal spot. You know, there hasn't been a justification for having a main event for women before. You know, they have had a few, but this felt like it. This felt very much like, if you go back to, if anybody was a fan of TNA back in the day, this felt like the days when they had Gail Kim versus Awesome Kong in the main event. Or, you know, when we finally got Trish and Lita breaking through on the main event on Raw for the first time ever. You know, like, it felt like not as big of a match, of course, in the grand scheme of things. But for AEW, it was almost as consequential, because with that tournament around, they finally have some traction. They have some good young talent. They've always had young talent, but their talent's been so raw. Now you got people like Anna Jay has been sharpening her teeth. You know, you got people that you've been bringing up. And Tay Conti comes over, and she's looking fantastic. Britt Baker's always been and even at Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, they've been in the game for what, 4 or 5 years each.
So, they're still really green.
I agree with you 100%. I was happy that this happened. I'm glad that it got the spots it did. I hope this does lead to something ridiculous, like a First Blood match or something like that. That'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
Man, what's that move that Britt Baker does where it's like a side move, and she like curled Thunder Rosa up in a ball and just dropped her on her head? Like, I've been trying to find out what the hell that was, but it was amazing.
I don't remember the name of that. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
Is it like a small package driver? Like,
if you were to curl someone up in a ball and then just smash them on the ground on their back, that's what it was.
Well, I wouldn't do that because I'm a nice person, Nick.
You easily could, though. You easily could.
Well, thank you. That's confidence inspiring.
So that was a kick-ass match, and then right after that, they had Hangman, Adam Page, and Matt Hardy versus the Chaos Project in order to get revenge on the Chaos Project for ruining Negative One's birthday, which I thought was a great little angle there. But you know, Matt Hardy's pulling on Hangman's heartstrings, and this whole money Matt Hardy thing, I'm not loving it, just to be honest with you.
I won't say he's the worst. He's not my favorite Hardy variant by far.
Yeah, he's not the worst, but he is definitely not the best. Like, we all know Broken Matt Hardy from Impact by far was numero uno. But, so, not a whole lot to talk about with this match.
It was a mad match.
Yeah, so blah, 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 hit. Page hits a buckshot lariat, and then Matt Hardy tags himself in and gets the pin. He steals the win from him, which they do talk about on Being the Elite. Watch Being the Elite on YouTube, please, because they do bring that up for just a second. So that was the win there. So
this is one of the few instances, and the Dark Order's a little bit too, with some other spots, but especially with Page and how they're pulling Being the Elite into the canon storyline of AEW is just masterful work, and this is one of those spots. So this is really a being the elite match, not a Dynamite match. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and I like Hangman. I think his whole drunk cowboy shtick that he did for a while was pretty good. And I mean, he still drinks all the time, but I like him. I think he's a great worker in the ring. There's just lots to like about this kid.
So if he just sidebar on that for a second, if he ends up with the Dark Order, which I hope he does eventually, will they call him the Drunken One?
God, I hope so. Yeah, or call him .08.
Oh, glorious!
Yeah. Ding. All right. Anyway, so after that breathalyzer of a match, they officially announce, the entrance to the women's world title eliminator. There are two sides. There's the U.S. side, and then there's the Japan side. And we are going to be doing a segment on this, for the coming weeks about, getting to know some of these women wrestlers, because there's a lot of them. Most of you have probably never heard of. Perfect one to bring up is Maki Ito, Vinny. They got a few of them there. We just got Asia Kong. Some of you might know her. They got quite a few, so we're going to go through some of these Japanese side and the American side because, they do have legit Layla Hirsch and some of these others. Nyla Rose, of course, is going to be in it. Thunder Rosa, Ty Conti,
Britt's there.
Yeah, so...
And Jay's in it, too. So you've seen some of these women, but, yeah, there's definitely some newbies for us.
We're really excited about this because one of the things that got us really excited was the way that Maki Ito announced herself on Twitter.
Maki Ito is my spirit animal. I hope you listen to this podcast one day. Hey, Maki, you're adorable.
Yes, she's amazing. So we of course, as soon as we saw this, we scoured Twitter, which is always a safe place to go. But we go on there, and legit, her very first tweet after it came out, it goes, like, it says, hashtag AEW, hello, motherfuckers. It's like, yep, that's my girl right there. That is the winner of my heart. She's already got it right there.
Even Cody Rhodes, he retweeted that saying, I want this girl to win. I mean, yes, it was great.
She didn't realize what she said. That somebody probably told her that
is her shtick. Have you looked into her at all, man?
She said, what do Americans say to say hello nicely? And somebody just told her that as a joke. I promise.
No, I guarantee you.
No.
Look her up. Because I've been doing a deeper look into these different women that I don't know. I want to learn about them, and Maki is the one that caught my eye because of that, obviously. So I started looking into it. Her whole shtick is that she basically is like a loner in her promotion, but she's not. But in her mind she is, and she's just like kind of self-deprecating, just petulant child of sorts. She just, she greets it instead of bumping fists with somebody. She meets them with a middle finger. She flips off everybody. She's had this thing going on Twitter for like the past at least 7-8 months where she's trying to learn English. So she says new word that's learned, and it's something that's completely inappropriate. Like the last one I saw was new word, learn new word today, golden shower, and Lance Storm, or Murder Hawk Monster.
How did she work that into a conversation?
That was the conversation. Just new word learned today, golden shower. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, Lance Archer even responded to her about
that's
it.
Who it was. Yeah, he responded back like she has before this is ever announced, something like months ago, her and Lance Archer had like an ongoing Twitter conversation thing back and forth. It's hilarious. And of course that drew the ire. You opened this hellgate. That did draw the ire of Jim Cornette, who on his show this week basically was just talking shit on Maki Ito because I don't know, because girls can't say motherfucker. I don't know what his old ass is thinking, but basically just called her a I can't remember. It was like a pile of shit or something of shit, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And her response to that was showed a photo shoot she had where she had a chocolate bar that was like melted all over herself. And she goes, "I am a pile of shit."
A deity. I'm a deity of shit.
She was a deity of shit.
Deity of shit. Which I'm like, that, like, she just threw it right back in his face, and it's like, I hate Jim Cornette.
If she
anyway.
has somebody, and we'll get to it. Like I said, later episodes, she's gonna be one of the first ones on. She's gonna be the first one, just so you guys know, that I'm gonna kind of get to because I've been researching her. Yeah, she might have people working with her on some of this stuff. Sure, who knows? This is wrestling after all. But either way, it's amazing stuff. It's so good.
So, all right. So, before we get too much into her, because as you all can tell, we're just,
I could go on for hours.
Yeah, we're over the moon on her. But anyway, so now it's everybody's favorite time in any wrestling show. It's the wedding time.
Wrestling wedding season.
Wrestling wedding season is upon us, ladies and gentlemen. And everybody knows those turn out spectacular.
No problem. Ever.
Yeah. Lots of tears. Maybe a little champagne, just, whatever. So it starts out with Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford are obviously the ones getting married. But he walks out with Miro and Charles, not Chuck E. T. as we all know him and love him. But he comes out as the butler. Or young boy, which I think is absolutely hilarious that Miro even called him that, and they allowed it to fly.
At first, he wanted to keep going with it, but they moved him to be Butler instead.
Yeah, because that's a...
that's a low blow.
Yeah. So he's out there, and then Jerry Lynn walks out Penelope, and Penelope looked great. She looked like she was wearing a laced-up...
Wrestling
gear, yeah, wrestling gear made into a wedding dress. It was very pretty, actually. Props to whoever did that one because it did look really cool. So they start doing their thing, and the officiant was Abyss's old manager. I can't think of his name.
James Mitchell,
thank you. And he cracked my shit up. He was just absolutely hilarious. Like,
he's a demonic priest is what his shtick always was. And yes, it was so
He
good.
looks like a cross between Anton LaVey and Scorch from Scorch TV, if you've ever heard of him. He's kind of like the Wayne's World public access guy up in Boston.
Yeah.
It's exactly what he looks like.
I was a huge Abyss fan when Abyss was at his peak in TNA, so therefore I had giant sentimental love for James Mitchell even being there. It was fantastic.
You were definitely on Abyss's peak for sure.
Absolutely.
So they start doing things. It's the biggest thing. They do their own vows, and it's fairly okay. And then Penelope goes, "You have the biggest," and then Kip cuts her off right there. No one needs to know that. They exchange rings. Everything goes okay there. They kiss. They're newlyweds, and then Miro starts a toast. Chuck hands them the champagne, and then he didn't bring him a present. Miro did not bring him a present. He brought him himself, and he's gonna give him fire, anger, and all these passion and all this stuff. That's his present to him. And then there's this big ass box. And he's like, "Well, who's that from?" And it's so funny because Miro's calling back to his WWE stuff.
Well,
he's like,
you skipped over Miro skipped because they were going to ask the question, does anybody object? And Miro immediately stops him.
Sorry. Yeah. So does anybody, like, he starts to do that, and Miro goes, no, I've been through this wedding stuff before. Just cut through that part.
This never works well. A direct correlation to the awful storyline with his real life wife and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah, it was terrible. But so that happens. He starts to do the toast. There's this big box, and then of course, Miro's like, "Oh, I know what's in there." So he goes and attacks it, and there's absolutely nothing in there. But there was, because he threw it over. Chuck goes down, and tries to pick up the stuff because they tell him to go do that. And then Miro's just talking, and the next thing you know, Chuck comes up, and I forgot, he slaps Miro maybe at that point.
No, he was like however it was, he got in the way, and
Oh, he decks Kip. He hits Kip in the face. Yeah. And then that's when Miro realized that his ankle is handcuffed to the rope, so he can't move. And then that's when our good friend and one of my favorite wrestlers, and Orange Cassidy, pops out of the wedding cake. Like you didn't know that was going to happen.
It's an orange-flavored cake.
Yes. So they start going at it. Penelope runs after him. He ducks her, and her face goes face first right into the cake. Never seen that in a wrestling wedding. So she's all covered. She's all sad.
It was predictable. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Orange Cassidy, hits a move on Sabian. They walk off. Everybody's crying except for obviously Chucky T and Orange Cassidy. That is your wrestling wedding, AEW style. I
do want to say one thing on the wedding before you move on. Once again, professing my love towards James Mitchell. I wrote down here some notes about some of the things he said. So during the do you take this man, do you take this woman part, it was to have and to grope.
Yes, to have and to grope, yes.
And also, instead of forsaking all others, it was kayfabing all others.
Yes. Kayfabing.
And of course, it was an unholy matrimony. I'm just some of the great little snippets of James Mitchell's character that just I loved it. I missed that. That was such a good character that if it was on a bigger show, it would have been a massive star. Abyss with James Mitchell, but no chance in hell you ever works for WWE. So it is what it is, and it was a good callback to those of us from that time.
Yes, it was a lot of fun there. So they have a quick commercial, and then right after that, Shaq officially accepts Cody's challenge.
Yay.
And it'll go down on March 3rd on Dynamite. It's not going to be
that I found interesting. That interesting.
And then it's going to be Shaq with Jade and Cody with Red Velvet. And Jade Cargill, she is a genetic freak. Like, have you seen her? I mean,
she had a promo at the beginning of the show where
man.
She had a promo at the beginning of the show. It was just her working out, and it was like muscles on muscles on muscles. I would not Nick Mike because he's a glutton for punishment, but I would never get in a bar fight with this woman. She would beat the living shit out of me.
No, I wouldn't go near it. Not this one. I know better.
I mean,
kudos. I don't know. Yeah, she's a genetic freak for sure. Maybe she's the new China. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I opened that Pandora's box. Sorry.
Yeah, but she's big and tall, and she's got star written on her for sure.
It'll be interesting to see how she is because I haven't seen her wrestle. I don't think once.
Ever. I don't think she ever actually officially has.
So we'll have to see. Red Velvet's she's another one in the women's division. She's got good progression since her first appearance. So we'll have to see how they do.
Yeah, she's an up and comer. So then at this point, we are going on to the lumberjack match between the Mad King Eddie Kingston, low key one of my favorites, and then the Murder Hawk Lance Archer. I kind of enjoyed this match.
Match was fine. It wasn't anything that was like break the bank.
Yeah, it's what I kind of expected out of it.
Some good spots, though, out of it, even though you did have Jake the Snake try and hit, one of the Hybrid 2 guys, and it's like, just stay away, Jake. But it was fine.
I mean, some of my big highlights were the twisting Vader bomb by Archer out of the corner. I thought that was pretty damn cool. That looked really sick. If you don't know what a Vader bomb is, you're an idiot. I'm sorry.
It's like an Alabama Slam, right?
Yeah, this is the Vader bomb. Like,
kind of, but not really. It's JB's saying just go do your research. Apparently, so
it's like a sitting power bomb, gut wrench style. It's from the side, boom. Yeah, it's really cool. Anyway, so that happens. Archer goes for the blackout, but Kingston kills Archer with a back fist to the future. Back fist to the future. That's the actual name of it. I
is?
read that. Yes, back fist to the future.
I love that.
That is a
so
great
much.
name. Like I was doing a synopsis thing on it, and they said that, so I'm like, that's bullshit.
I was gonna talk down his finisher of a back fist until you said that. Legit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Archer rolls to the floor, then Angelico and all them, like, everybody starts beating him up. Then Jake jumps on Angelico, which, as you pointed out, was just the quintessential shit show moment. But yeah, some things happen. Bear Bronson, Bear Country, those bear boys.
I like Bear Country. I do. Their entrance gear is crap, but themselves are. I like them. That's another one. More tag teams. This tag team division is just okay. I'm not going back to that.
Yeah. So Archer. So the finish is Archer hits a Uranagi suplex for 2. Then Kingston gets up and hits him with a ginormous lariat, like whack. It drops him. Then he hits the blackout for the pin. So Archer wins that match. Again, is what exactly I expected. I did not expect finesse. I didn't expect prettiness. I expected unadulterated, just beating the shit out of each other.
It's the perfect match to set up for as an entrant for the main event.
Yes, exactly. Then they did a quick little promo with FTR bitching about how they didn't get to be in the tag team battle royal, blah, blah, blah. Tully Blanchard, blah, blah, blah. That's all, yep.
But they kidnapped, play on words, Marco Stunt.
They did, yeah, that's where I was going with it. Yeah, they kidnapped little poor Marco Stunt, which I thought was kind of funny. So we'll see what goes on with that. And then freaking Joey Janela, I guess, is trying to become a thing again. He cut a promo about Darby Allin, which I cannot stand Joey Janela. I am sorry. I know you guys might have some other feelings, but he just annoys the hell out of me. I just can't stand him.
I don't mind him in small bits if he does. But the thing is, the only time I like him is at the very beginning of AEW when he was still with Penelope. It was Janelope, and he was still very much the death match wrestler. Like the very first. It was the very first or very second buy-in. I think it was the second buy-in battle royal on their second pay-per-view as officially AEW. There was a staple gun brought out. He had a cigarette stapled to his forehead. He just, that match he had early on against Moxley, where the thumbtacks, he got like atomic dropped on his bare feet onto the thumbtacks, and that's the sort of stuff that I don't mind Joey Janela doing, but you can't sustain that. And other than that, he's just, I don't know, I'm with you. I'm not a big fan of Joey as a character or as a person, apparently, and that's not neither here nor there. But he is just a giant dick to women, apparently. So there's that.
I love that. Yeah. I love that. I don't care for him as a wrestler or a person.
Yeah, I mean, he's got thinner skin than the membrane inside of a hard-boiled egg. You know what I mean? Like that.
But it was Cora Jade, wasn't it? Who he was going at? Yeah, who now Cora Jade. But they had an independent match because they did. On the indie scene, there's a ton of intergender matches. It's a very common occurrence. Which, whatever your opinions are of that, good, bad, whatever, there happens to be a lot of intergender matches on a lot of independent promotions, and they had one, or there's, I don't know. It just is this big feud, and Joey was just too far being nasty. Took it beyond kayfabe, and it was like, okay, dude, just chill off. She's
then he didn't want to do it at all. Yeah, then he didn't want to do the match.
Yeah, which is whatever. So
So he's a chode. What's this called? We're going old school. Yeah, Shota boy.
We're not going to give that one Google that reference.
Yeah, it's all Greek to me. Yeah. So anyway, main event time. All right, we got the main event.
Hell yeah!
Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers, who were fresh off of hitting a Twiz and getting a Kiz with Don Callis. Smiz, Wiz, and Good Kids. Yeah, there you go. With Don Callis, that dude. And then John Moxley with two members of Death Triangle and Pac and Ray Phoenix, who I love. So, yeah, dude, and I mean, I'm a big Lucha Brothers guy. Anyway, I got the Lucha Sauce shirt. Like, I'm in on the Lucha Bros. So anyway, Don Callis joins commentary. So it's like, here we go. You know, that's all I gotta say. Like, he does a great job. I have to give Don Callis so much props because when he talks, I just want to punch him in the face.
He is good at his job. He always has been. So, whatever your opinions are of him as a promoter, he's good in front of the mic.
Yeah. He's got a very punchable face, and when he talks, he just reiterates that, and I love it. Like, he is the perfect of getting heat. Like, absolutely perfect. So he's on there, you know, doing his heat things. You know, Mox comes out with Pac and Ray Phoenix from the stands like they usually do. Ray Phoenix is wearing this sick white shirt that I cannot find in Pro Wrestling Tees because it would be in my possession right now, but I can't find the son-of-a-bitch because that thing was awesome because it had like a mix between Phoenix and Pentagon's face on the back. It said Lucha Bros as white because I'm sick of black wrestling t-shirts, but I digress.
Yeah.
It was super good. So they come out there and basically balls to the wall from the jump. Like, it is a spot fest left and right. As soon as it comes out, Pac hits a beautiful hurricanrana, you know, right after Anderson leapfrogged him. And then Gallo tags in, and Moxley follows. Like, boom, 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 boom. Like, just a whole bunch of crap just happens. Like, just right off the bat. Moxley, like, goes for Gallows and all this stuff, like, back and forth. I'll just get to towards the end because the end's the best part.
There's so many spots you could talk. This thing was unbelievable. And I will say this before you get to the end: is it's the best that I've seen Gallows and Anderson in a while.
Mm-hmm.
They look
pre
fantastic.
WWE. It was definitely pre WWE.
Oh, it was New Japan for sure.
Yeah,
they got the best guys out there to feed off of. I mean, if you're going to go out there, and shine, these are the guys to shine with.
It was definitely very Bullet Club-esque, if I may.
Mm-hmm. Intentional, 100%. Of course, but yeah, it was.
Yes. So so a whole bunch of stuff happens. You know, big power bombs. Phoenix hits a moonsault off the top and lands on his feet, and then rolls into the Phoenix Cutter, which on Omega was the sickest moves. I love that move from him. Like, how he just rolls right into it. Bam! It's so
beautiful. Good. It's so good. How about when he does that? When he does the he goes so fast when he does the tope suicida that he hits the guy over by the barricade, but he still doesn't stop. He keeps going. He either ends up sitting on the barricade or on the other side. Phoenix,
he almost went
it's ridiculous.
Yes,
the week before when they came out and jumped him, he did. He went so far and hit the guy and flipped in midair, like in place, and then just landed sitting on the barricade. And I'm like, who is this guy? Who is the magician? Phoenix. Yeah. I see, so good. Oh, and before you get too far into it, they did give the shout out to the Iron Man match that we saw live in Kansas City. Pac and they mentioned it specifically. Once again, we're not wrestling hotbed. It was half the show. It was an hour and 5 minutes. It went over the 60 minutes. But yeah, we're not a wrestling hotbed in Kansas City, but we do get some, and they did make mention to it. I felt much like you have the love for Lone Star. That just got me because I was like, that's the best match live I've ever seen personally.
And we've seen some doozies together, even in that one by far.
Street fights, but that one was. Whew.
Yeah,
right, go for it. Sorry, I didn't want to derail you too much.
So just one of the bigger highlights was towards the end when Moxley goes for a paradigm shift on Omega, and Omega counters it into his own paradigm shift. And I love that moment, right? But then, like, he goes for the cover, and here comes Pac, does a fucking 450 off the top rope to break it up. It's like, boom! It's like, oh my god. You know, it's just like, they had everything you'd want just right there. You know, and then Omega tags Anderson. He walks into a diamond cutter for Moxley. Phoenix tags in and hits a double springboard diving moonsault for 2. Like, Jesus, like, it just keeps going nuts. Phoenix springs and dives right to a spine buster from Anderson, and that's when the tables turn. That spine buster by Carl Anderson was beautiful. That was very Triple H-esque. That's how pretty it was. Gallows, it's definitely not Arn Anderson, but it's close. Gallows tags in. They do the Magic Killer. Omega hits the V trigger on Pac, and then boom, they get the win. So Omega and the Good Brothers get the win. But wait, there's more.
Like that fantastic match was not enough to end it with, because that was a pay-per-view quality match. Just saying.
Yes, it was a 5-star for sure. So then Omega and the Good Brothers are just beating the hell out of Phoenix and Moxley after the match. Archer comes in, hits the ring, just clears it. Then Moxley gets up, stalks Omega, but then out of nowhere, some masked dude hits Moxley. You're like, what the hell is this? Like, is there somebody new for AEW? It is none other than the Bullet Club's own New Japan's Kenta. If you don't know who Kenta is, he was in WWE for a while, and they absolutely did not use him. But you wouldn't
even remember him.
He is a megastar, and he comes out, hits a go to sleep on Moxley wearing a Bullet Club shirt. Like, he wore his go to sleep Bullet Club shirt, which will be in my house in roughly 2 weeks.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, you go.
Yeah,
did you get the one he had, or did you get the white one you showed me?
I got the white one
because he sells it. Yeah, we'll talk about that later on. But there's too many black T-shirts in wrestling. Come on, people.
Yes. We prefer color or whatever.
Black's fine, but not all. Something different. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So he has to go to sleep. Then he walks out. And people, of course, the fans that are there aren't very many fans, but you could hear the pop on TV. Like, people just want ape shit. And when I'm watching it, my jaw is dropped. I'm like, they did it. They have a working relationship. AEW now has a working relationship with not only Impact Wrestling, but yes, New Japan. That is huge. That is basically every major promotion giving the biggest middle finger to one Vincent Kennedy McMahon, saying, we're not going to take your tyranny anymore, and they're standing up as a united front, because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and that's what's going on right now.
And you forgot,
I'm here for it.
And you forgot AAA. They already have a relationship with AAA too, because they've had
they have everybody. Everybody is standing up.
That's the biggest ones.
So one of my favorite things is at the very end, it wasn't on TV. It was right after. You can find it on AEW's Twitter. You can find it on Kenny Omega's and Kenta's. But Omega comes running out to find Kenta. He's like, hey, Kenta. Hey, what's up, man? Hey, what's up? And then legit, Kenta's like, fuck you. Right. And I'm just like, oh, yes. Like, because
fuck you. I'm just here for Moxley. Because for you, if you have, it's worth your time to look toward. Getting into New Japan is a lot to invest in, I will admit, because there's a lot of layers to Japanese wrestling as a whole. They have a ton of titles that you think are going to be, that just don't make a lot of sense to like someone who's strictly an American wrestling fan, but just as a summation there, Kenta and Moxley have been feuding over the IWGP, which is the New Japan's version of their governing body of their titles, the IWGP US title for a year and a half now, I think, or something like that.
So that's going on, and then also there's that heat between the Bullet Club and Omega and the Good Brothers and Young Bucks, because they've been doing the Too Sweet Bullet Club thing. And like Tama Tonga and some of the other Bullet Club people have been taking great offense to it on Twitter. And this brings it all together, because I feel like Kenta's was twofold. One, he's there for Moxley only, and he doesn't care about Kenta because he's not part of the real Bullet Club in his mind. And I really hope that comes to light on Wednesday, because they have a tag team match scheduled for Wednesday of Omega and Kenta versus Moxley and Pac? Or is it Ray Phoenix?
Archer, that's right. I'm sorry, Archer. So that's got New Japan written all over it right there, because, all four of them have spent some time in New Japan. So I think it's Archer. Maybe it's not.
I could have swore it wasn't, but
maybe. Whatever.
But anyway, huge night on AEW. It is a superior fucking product. I'm sorry. It's got me jazzed, because 5-star match to end it, and then they like, oh, are you okay? Because here's a little bit more. You know, they just went for the kill shot with Kenta showing up, and it's just beautiful.
Well, the key thing is, and I'm going to talk for just a hot second, a couple of little things I want to kind of just touch base on real quick before we move forward, but just to highlight a little bit more about the Kenta thing is, even if you're like, that's not Kota Ibushi, that's not the biggest name, you're not wrong, but what's long been talked about is the Forbidden Door. It's like this kind of interior thing that, you know, the Forbidden Door is in essence that interpromotionally, you know, we work together by opening a door to each other, right? A door, a bridge, whatever stupid fucking analogy you want to use. But it's long been talked about the Forbidden Door. New Japan working with an American promotion specifically. Although they had a working relationship with Ring of Honor for the longest time, that's really because the previous president of New Japan didn't view Ring of Honor as a quote-unquote worldwide promotion, which is stupid, or a threat to them. He is no longer with New Japan, and that is a reason a lot of this stuff is happening. That's the reason the words Bullet Club have been used on Impact and AEW, because the new people that are in there are a lot more open to, especially in this world of post-COVID. And in Japan, they don't get the luxury of that we have in America of being more lax on rules. They are a lot more stringent on social distancing, on attendance policies. That not getting the politics of that, but just for sports, that's the legitimate way it is. So every wrestling company in the world is having trouble making money because, except for WWE, because they can't have fans in attendance. This is a way to kind of recoup that a little bit, I believe. And I think it's, like you said, ingenious that Tony Khan has long been teasing this something big coming. And while us traditionalists think, oh, it's a big name, oh, it's a big faction, oh, they're gonna like buy NWA, you know, something smaller, you know. No, they're just working with everybody. Like that, the doors are open all over the place, and it's like that scene in the Matrix, the second Matrix, where they're walking through, going to the guy with all the TVs in his room. There's doors everywhere. That's what it's like. They're the hallway where everybody's coming in. It's fantastic. Kudos to Tony Khan. Kudos to New Japan for doing it too.
It is an exciting time to be a fan of wrestling that is not WWE. That's all there is to it. Nick, what did you think?
Yeah, man.
100%. It makes you feel foolish when you do look towards WWE, and that kind of hurts to say because that's, for me personally, that's where I began. WCW was huge for me when I was a kid as well. Rest in peace, Butch Reed. He was one of my first action figures. Mm-hmm. But
much love.
AEW is just so far beyond when it comes to just the skill sets of everyone involved. It's the best of the best from every angle when it comes to the storylines, when it comes to the amount of time that they spend on different aspects of angles, and just the athleticism of everyone involved is so superior. It's embarrassing for everybody that's not a part of it.
It's run by wrestlers. You know? It's run by wrestlers. It's not run by
the perfect way to put
by business people.
Absolutely. And they keep it flowing too. Now you're still going to have your names that you see regularly, but it's not, and no offense to anybody, but we're not looking at an elimination chamber match with the same 5 people that we're doing it the past 20 times. You know what I mean? It's not, you're not seeing reruns. Right. Every time it's new. So yeah, it's amazing. The whole show this week was awesome front to back. There wasn't a single minute of it I didn't enjoy, but that final match was, as you guys said, 5-star, absolutely pay-per-view quality. So
which usually happens on that show.
More often than not.
They had 2 pay-per-view quality.
The best way I could say how good AEW is that I can't come up with anything snarky or sarcastic to say about it. It's just that good.
And for those of you who know Nick, that's a lot. That takes a lot of work. So
it's flawless.
Way to go, Tony Khan. You're a winner.
Even if I bring up Chris Statlander, the alien,
it gets by. It gets by.
See, he gets a pass, right?
There's enough good stuff in the bank.
Hey,
yes.
We'll see when she comes back. She's been on BTE last few weeks, so she's rehabbing. We'll see. You get as a fantastic segue into talking about WWE for the week. Although I do want to just butcher that segue because there was a couple things I wanted to two things I wanted to talk about real quick. That just observations on Dynamite. Well, three things. So first of all, no North Carolina in the typical cleaner Kenny Omega announced entrance, and I missed that. I missed the North Carolina reference. It's fun. It's a bizarre jab every time it's done, but it's great. Death Triangle's new theme is just straight fire. Oh my God. Go back and listen to it, people. It is unbelievable. If you like metal music, it's so good. And then you made mention of this, Jamie. I wanted to not gloss over it too much, but AEW does have the luxury because there's an outdoor venue attached to the stadium that Tony Khan's dad owns as part of owning the Jaguars, where they have the ability to actually have live fans there. Still be socially distanced. It's limited, like you said. I think it was like, what, 1,500 or something that they have, maybe?
They're up to 2,500 now.
2,500. Still not a lot. That venue holds, I think, about 9 or 10 grand. And it might be, I think it's less with it configured for a wrestling arena. So maybe 8 grand, 7, 8 grand, something like that. So they're still at like a quarter capacity, maybe a third, something like that. But they're able to have fans. And I think this week more than other weeks is the week that you really noticed it because there were 3 key moments where you got that fan pop. That one shows you how much AEW is getting over with all us, fanboys and marks out there. The first one was at the very first match, Jungle Boy's new entrance, which Tony Khan did him a solid and bought the rights to that old 80s song. I don't remember the name of the song, but I was like,
Tarzan Boy. It's Tarzan Boy.
Tarzan Boy, yeah. And throughout the whole, until Jungle Boy was eliminated, throughout the whole match, you would hear, and you could tell when it's the wrestlers around the ring who are doing it, and when it's everybody else. Because on Dark, you'll hear the wrestlers around the ring act like the crowd, because there's nobody else in the stands. But this was coming from all over the place, and it was consistent that everybody, that is, like, I can't wait till we get to a point where we have a stadium of 12,000 people chanting that along for a Jungle Boy match. Jungle Boy is getting over like hell, and huge pop for that. I loved it. Second huge pop was during the wedding. And during the wedding, Miro was he was stumbling through his lines for like a quick second, and he kept going, "What is love? What is love?" And instantaneously, the entire crowd, and then he's like, "No, go ahead, sing it. I like that song." So they sang "What Is Love" for like a hot minute, and it was great. Shows you why we love Miro. Shows you what a stupid fucking job they did to kill Rusev Day, and that was the second big pop.
So
the third pop.
Hold on, let me piggyback on that though, because when he first said it, like when he goes, "What is love?" Like the first thing I thought of was Princess Bride.
Yes,
this is the first thing I thought of, and then the fans took it another level, and I'm like, I didn't even think about that. That is,
I was priceless. On that same level. What is love? Don't hurt me. Yeah, it was fantastic. And then the third pop actually happened before that second one, but this is my favorite of the night. Because this one, literally, okay, Jungle Boy, they sang his song. Miro set them up. This one came out of nowhere, and it was glorious. But Thunder Rosa now has the crowd chant of doing the Thunderstruck song. And it was unbelievable, unexpected, and just glorious as much as you think about it. Thunder! It just kept doing it. I'm like, oh, that's great. That's so good. Why didn't I think of that before? Unbelievable. So, benefit of having fans in the crowd, but the fans, I mean, I can't wait till they get to have a full show because it's going to just go off the rails. I'm saddened that Brody Lee never got the appreciation of a full audience. It sucks that we already kind of gone introed and moved past Broken Matt. We'll come back to him eventually.
Oh, he'll be back at one point.
Right. I think when we get to the point of having a full audience, that's a good time to bring back Broken. But it just, is nice to have that because as long as trying as, as it's been for, COVID and everybody's been affected by it, it was nice to have that little bit because that's the part I think that really makes AEW so much better. And even though their shows have been killer, like having that fan appreciation, you just love it so much more. So anyway.
And before we get to WB, one last thing for me. If anybody can find that Ray Phoenix shirt is two-sided.
Oh, I'll find it. My Google Foo is strong. I will find it.
I'm just saying for our listeners, just hit us up at Total Spotfest on the Twitters and let us know where we can get it. That'd be greatly appreciated.
Touche.
Because that shirt is fire.
Yes, we did tweak our handle. We got a little more logical now because it was something else before, but it is at Total Spotfest. Easy peasy. All right, let's talk about WWE, shall we? Everybody, do I have to? Don't worry, we're gonna do a half-ass recap on this. I'm gonna speed through it because Raw and Smackdown this week. Well, they were shows. SmackDown generally has been the better show as of late. This is your first post Rumble SmackDown. So of course you start off with Rollins coming out and talking about Edge, and if it's not blatantly obvious that it's going to be Spear versus Spear at WrestleMania, it is. It's Edge and Rollins. Everybody knows that, and if it's not, well, fuck me in the goat ass. I don't know why.
WWE has a real problem with subtlety.
Oh, you don't say, Bruce. So
what?
You start off with that, then you go into a couple matches. You had Dominic Mysterio and Baron Corbin, which was a match. Then you had Big E doing a promo. Big E, even though they took him out of the New Day, I love Big E to death.
Same.
He made an Ellis Island reference that was just like, what? But worked it in masterfully. Love me some Big E. Next match, we got Daniel Bryan, Cesaro. This, again, is a match that 5 years ago would have killed for. Cesaro is underappreciated still to this day.
And he just signed a big-ass contract.
Yeah, I mean, which good for him. I mean, if I was in his position or AJ's position and somebody presents me that money and I get this amount of work, sure, I'll take it. Some people have to have that accomplishment feeling, but it's nice to make a shitload of money. So, hey, whatever. The match was okay. It wasn't bad. Cesaro, I'd love to see him get a push. He's never going to. Anything more than maybe IC level. Maybe. So, maybe Brian's getting buried. I don't know. It was another thing. It was a match. Then you had Bianca come out and did a real nice tribute. They showed her parents, which if you haven't seen the video on Twitter and on social media, there was video of her parents watching her and just losing their shit, which is great to see. She deserves it. Kudos to seeing the parents there. I feel like because it's February, though, it's a little bit insensitive how much they're focusing on that, and I'll get to that in a minute. When I get to another show I'm going to talk about.
Were they losing their shit because her feet touched? Because they didn't bring it up. I know they didn't.
That was my next note here, is that there was no mention of this. So your worry, which I said was going to happen, this never happened. They completely Ronda Rousey'd it. Nope. What do you mean? Feet never touched. There's no. This is not a thing that happened.
Everybody knows a non-Jedi cannot do a Jedi mind trick.
Well, that doesn't stop them from continuously trying, and they're trying again. So, no mention whatsoever of it. Not even the faintest of glaring passes. Not even somebody coming out. There's no Rhea Ripley sighting here. Okay, there's no Rhea Ripley at NXT. There's no Rhea Ripley at this past SmackDown. So that would be the person that would do it, right? Well, it's not going to happen. So, like you need to do, Jamie. We're just going to move on. He's not going to let that go.
Nope. I'm not going to let go.
I think
Bruce Pritchard
made a good angle.
Bruce Pritchard would let it go. Bruce Pritchard would let it go, but I'm not.
It could have been a great angle.
It would have been perfect. Rhea Ripley coming out, you screwed me, and then they have a match set up for Elimination Chamber.
Would have been good. Would have been great.
For the number one.
You know, and then it's a double count out because WWE doesn't know how to give anybody a clean win, and then we have a triple threat.
And then you could do it at Fastlane and have an actual winner, and then you could have a decent pro. Yes, that makes sense, and that's why it won't happen.
Well, see, and the other thing now, it would be beautiful from Rhea's angle. It would still be awesome from Bianca's angle too, though, because everybody loves her so much. You know what I mean? And she's babyface right now. But then it looks like now she's got to get a little angry because now she's got to defend herself, you know. But from that angle, it would have been beautiful.
The only reason I see them not doing that is because they want to protect both of them. Because they want Rhea to come out looking really strong when she hits. And they want Bianca to look really strong right now because she's going. So if you have this whole feud going on between those two and you have a clear winner, a clean finish, then one of them doesn't look strong. And that's the only reason that they don't want to do it. And it's stupid.
It's the antithesis of 50-50 booking. This is what they do. And like it or not, as much as I like having Triple H run things, and he's been running SmackDown for the past month or two, he is a giant proponent of 50-50 booking. He thinks that everybody should be a straight in the middle heel face. He thinks that 50-50 booking is the only way to do it, and that's not the only way. You got to have some straight heels, some straight faces. You can't have 50-50 booking on everything. It just doesn't work for the long run for everybody. Every once in a while, sure. Situation depends on it. Great. We all remember in our prime when we were watching WWE and WCW and WWE when they started to take a head, and largely in part to Triple H, Austin, and The Rock. And the three of them had a 50-50 booking. I guess it'd be 33-33-33 booking, technically.
Yeah, they're all tweeners.
But yeah, they're all tweeners, and they all were back and forth, back and forth. He wins, he wins, he wins, he wins, they win, you know. And it was great because of who they were and what was going on. And not everybody else on the show followed the same path. You can't have everybody follow the same path because then it's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So after that promo, that was just a quick little, as I said, quick little note to her family. No mention of the feet touching.
Bullshit.
Then we get Bayley going one-on-one against Ruby Riott. Hey, Ruby.
Yeah.
So Billie Kay was on commentary, which I expressed my love for her new shtick last week. It takes a turn as well this week. This match...
That's enough. That's all you need to say. Just the exhale's enough.
No, I'm gonna bitch because I went on a tangent last week about how much I like Ruby and I wanted to see them come across. Putting her in a singles match does them no good. I don't know. They're still playing off this Ruby shoulder surgery. It's been almost a year since she came back. I think it's been more than a year. I don't even remember. Yes, she had her shoulders replaced. So what? Let's move. It's like Kurt Angle to the day he died. They're like, you got a surgically repaired neck, you know? It's just like Ruby's shoulder has become Kurt Angle's neck. And I didn't know that chop shop of body parts was available, but apparently it is. With that, another bullshit ending. Billie cost Ruby the match because she got up on the ring and did. It just was stupid. It was stupid. It ended up with Bayley doing her horrible reverse DDT, like a front face buster. I don't know. It's not a good move. The Bayley to belly wasn't a finisher, but at least it looked better than this thing. This thing just looks awkward.
It's like her whole persona right now.
I don't know what they're doing with Bayley. It's like, what does this mean? Is Bayley going to team up with Billie now? I don't know. It's stupid. It didn't make any goddamn
Billie and Bayley.
That at least would make some sense because they're both, you know, their characters are the annoying talking people. So, I mean, I don't know. It was a waste of Ruby Riott, and that made me very angry. And so I'm going to move on before I spend 20 minutes bitching about that more. Because we got another Bianca promo. This is with her actually talking in person. Once again, no mention of her feet touching. But we did have Reginald come out. I don't know.
Virgil 2.0. Let's go.
Same Reginald. He came out and he said some stuff about Carmella, and I could give a shit less. So there was that. And then I think because you had I think Sasha did make an appearance as well, and she whatever. This is so blatantly obvious to me that it's Bianca and Sasha. I mean, That's the match we want to see. That's the match that we should see at Mania. And we're probably going to get that match. So this is all noise to me.
Hey, you remember the last time we got the match we wanted to see? And Shinsuke Nakamura?
Shinsuke and AJ, yeah.
And you remember how much of a dud of a match it was?
Oh, I'm not saying that the match is going to suck, but this is the match we want to see. So it'll be some of this shit. We know most of the stuff will get ruined in the long run, but let's not focus on the negative too much. Let's wait for it to happen and then
Vince
bitch
is
about
involved,
the negative.
so we already know.
Oh, I know.
Feet
well,
fucking touched.
Next we had another promo. If this sounded like a promo-heavy show, you're right. It was. Sami Zayn this time. Sami Zayn, another one. I love Sami Zayn. I love every iteration of Sami Zayn. I can't wait for the day that if he ever leaves WWE, he goes to AEW as El Generico, because they will never let him do it in WWE. And I love. He was still a great promo,
shame.
and his whole like wronged every man kind of patchouli smelling documentarian. I love it. It's great. Sammy's great. We did get a match after that, and what was our reward? Running through all these promos and some bullshit that was done to Ruby. Hey, Ruby. Otis and Chad Gable versus your tag team champions. Yes, I said that right. Robert Roode, Dolph Ziggler.
Which, can we talk about Dolph Ziggler's hair for just a second?
Sure.
It's awful. What's he doing?
Yeah. So in a time right now where all these TikTok fanboy guys are getting perms on the top of their head in order to make their hair curly because curly hair is in, he's straightening it. Like, I just don't get it. Like, his hair is god awful. Like, he looks like a woman from the 80s, like Aquanet, just up and ready to go to a Bon Jovi concert.
This whole concept of it is weird. Like, it was fine when they were their own people and they were together. That's all Vince likes to do. Is like, except with these few small exceptions for tag teams, like the Street Profits. He likes to just take two random guys and put them together. Daniel Bryan and Kane. I mean, it's not a new phenomenon, and this is very reminiscent of when Bobby Roode was still back in TNA and Austin Aries was there, and they formed the almost identical sounding I Know concept of the Dirty Heels. That was who they were and now they're the Dirty Dogs or something stupid like that. They got biker leather jackets, and it's like, come on.
There's nothing glorious about that.
There is nothing about this match that was redeeming other than Otis yelling out at the beginning that slapped his belly, said, "Come get these hams," or something like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, well, they were building up. So this is the 1, 2, 3, 4th match of the night. One of them's infuriating. Two of them are just like, who gives a shit? And then you had Bryan and Cesaro, which could have been better, but was just kind of like, it was okay.
This is 5 years too late.
Definitely 5 years too late. And even today, Cesaro can put on a great match, but they're not. They could probably still, the two of them, put on a great match. They won't let them. It was the second match of the night. There's no way. So the next thing they hyped up, they've been hyping all night, because 33 years ago to the day between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, and I'm like, that doesn't sound right. That's not the right time of year. And then it hit me that, oh no, that's not the WrestleMania. That was the main event a few months after WrestleMania the following year, when Andre the Giant actually beat Hulk Hogan for the title. But that's what they were referencing, and it was a big watch at the time. It was the early '80s, so we didn't have you had 20 TV channels at most. I mean, so yeah, it was a big draw. I saw a lot of 30 million people watched it, and I'm like, well, that's kind of not that surprising, but anyway, who cares, So end that with a match, right? Well, not quite, but the final match of the night is Apollo versus Big E versus Sami Zayn, 3-way match for the Intercontinental Championship. This was the only, what I would call, good match of the night. It was the best of what they had. Apollo Crews is horribly wasted in WWE. Mm-hmm. Horribly. he needs to move to WWE or to AEW Impact, somewhere where his talents can actually shine. I mean, you can't call him Apollo. You may call him like Black Zeus or something. I don't know if that's racist. I hope that's not. Okay, I'm a Paul.
No, that's a movie that's coming out. You're fine.
All right, good. All right, good. But Zeus or whatever it is, you can stick with the whole Greek god theme. Yeah. As soon as I said it, I was like, you know what? I probably okay. But you know what I mean? Is I call him Zeus, call him Poseidon, call him something else. Whatever Greek themed you can call him. It's just he's wasted. It just was. It was. Big E retained. Okay, and it was what it was. But of the matches, look at the card. That's probably the best match that happened tonight. So it is what it is. And of course, we end with Edge promo.
Hey, yeah, how was Skeletor's promo?
Well, for one, he was alive, which I was not sure of the Monday before. He actually came out and he actually was he didn't basically crawl his walker down to the ring, so that's a win. It was better than his Raw promo, but once again, he's delaying the inevitable, and then KO got involved with it. I don't know. It's just the whole show for your first show after a pay-per-view. Like historically, these first weeks, we talked about our disappointment from the Raw from the week before. These are the Raw after Rumble is usually your starting point. This is when you start new rivalries. This is when you start feuds that are going to be settled at WrestleMania 2 months later. This is where you have the build up, the big introductions, call ups, new signees. This is kind of your starting point of the quote unquote wrestling year, if you would. And it didn't feel like that. It felt like a sad shit take home show. All in all, I mean, SmackDown has been noticeably better than Raw for the past few months, and this one definitely was not. It was just bad. So
yeah.
That was SmackDown. So a few nights
to talk about Raw.
Yeah. Oh, this is going to go quick. Don't worry. So a few nights later, we had Raw, and this Raw was, a couple nights ago, it was better than the week before. I'm gonna say that. That's a low bar to jump over, but they did it.
No Alexa Bliss though, right?
Well, I'll talk about that at the end. There's a reason why. It's not a good reason either. So first of all, Adam fucking Pearce. I just stop this.
Who is this guy?
He's the GM of. He's a guy. He works in production. He used to be a wrestler. He was never that good. He was a mid card guy at best in the indie circuit. He wrestled dabbled a little bit in WWE. He was one of those nameless faces who'd get buried. So
he's like John Laurinaitis.
Yeah, and then he started working like in the production side of things, and because he had some wrestling experience, that kind of made him the WWE official. I'm doing air quotes there because obviously he's the general manager of both shows. That's really what's going on. But they're not. I don't even. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm sick of it. I like the fact that she wasn't in it too, but they brought Sonya Deville back in SmackDown to learn from Adam Pearce. That's a mistake personally, but she can be the general manager-esque position on SmackDown. I love that. Whereas, you can have, if you want Adam still involved, please God, no, you can have him involved as the general manager of Raw, but whatever. Adam Pearce comes out to introduce Shane McMahon, Shane O'Mac, and whatever else thing that they wanted to scream it. Jesus. This is worthless. Because Shane comes out to literally all he does is come out to announce what the Elimination Chamber is going to be in 2 weeks. But then says it's all Adam Pearce's idea. Why bring him back? That's this cheap pop. It's just WWE's. I'm so sick of them doing cheap pops. It's fucking nobody buys it. It's terrible. We do know the elimination is going to be for the WWE Championship. It's going to be McIntyre versus Randy Orton, shocker, versus Jeff Hardy. Yeah, he'll probably die. Versus AJ Styles. Sorry, AJ. Versus The Miz, because why the fuck not? Versus Sheamus, of course. Okay, not a surprise in there. Maybe Jeff Hardy, but you had to have another face in there somewhere. So hey, Hardy, you're get in there, old man.
So have you guys ever seen the movie Would You Rather?
I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar with it.
Okay, so basically this movie is a scary movie where you have to get put through these like events, you know, like these shocking things, like you have to kill somebody or like get electrocuted or whatever in order to win money. I feel like one of the punishments is talking about Raw, like right now. I feel like that's one of the punishments from that game.
Well, I don't know what my other choice is because I'd gladly take it.
Yeah, I'd rather get electrocuted than have to sit through 3 hours of fucking Raw.
That's the problem. 3 hours is too long. Stop it. Stop at the 3 hours. Stop with it. Just stop.
The Titanic didn't even take that long.
You can have your Raw after show on USA. There's your third hour. You don't need to have it on WWE Network anymore. Just 3 hours too long. So after that that announcement, we had AJ versus Jeff Hardy, which, once again, is this TNA 2009? Because it sure seems like it. Then Riddle cut backstage to Riddle, not Matt Riddle, but Riddle, just playing into the stoner motif once again. He was talking to Keith Lee, who they have a match tonight. There'll be words about that. But he just kept making references to Air Bud. He got stoned and watched Air Bud to cope with him getting his ass handed to him last week by Bobby Lashley. So there's that. Then the New Day versus Retribution, which Nick is a big Retribution fan, I know. So,
yeah, they just they look like to me, they look like just some guys that showed up, grabbed a bunch of masks they found in a back room somewhere. The one guy looks like he just picked up a Bane mask that he just found left over from a Halloween party, which, you know what it reminded me of is just the kind of carelessness of it is like we've never seen Batman before. And it reminded me of, you guys remember the Shockmaster back when it was...
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And the guy...
Wow.
And it was...
The Stormtrooper helmet?
Yeah, Tugboat comes out in a vest, trench coat, and his bedazzled stormtrooper mask like nobody had ever seen Star Wars before.
I know. It's so bad.
That's what these guys remind me of.
You haven't even seen Mia Yim or Reckoning yet.
No.
She is literally wearing, she has like white like dots around her eye, face paint, because she's wearing basically like what a typical person would wear as a COVID mask, but it's got a big cutout in the middle with metal bars where the mouth is.
Yep, it's like
it's
like the Silence of the Lambs.
There you go. There you go.
Some slip.
It came off in her first match and only match she's had on Raw. It was also a match where she took a bad bump, and the ref, you could hear him keep asking, "Mia, are you okay? Talk to me, Mia. Mia." So,
Mia, are you okay? You okay, Mia?
It's bad, but I will say this: as bad as this is, New Day is always great. Xavier Woods is hitting his stride. Maybe he's got that G4 juice in him because he's hosting G4 now. And he started last week's Raw post show with, calling out Mia Yim, calling out Reckoning, because he's already fought the other 4 members of Retribution, and he's 2-2. So they have to break it with him versus Reckoning. And so on his way, New Day wins, of course, and on their way back out of the ring, he just keeps yelling, Vince be damned, or any producer be damned, that he wants Reckoning. Where's Reckoning? He wants Reckoning. Make it happen. Next week, I want Reckoning. I want Reckoning. That is glorious. I love that. It won't happen, and if it does happen, it'll be a shell of what it actually could be, but that was nice. So there's one highlight for you. And I could go on for hours about how terrible they're wasting Dijakovic and Dio Madden and Shane Thorne's second iteration, but whatever. After this, we had a Bianca Belair promo where they show the video of her parents, talk about her parents being excited to her. This was right after they had, and this is what I alluded to earlier. They had their weekly, which they do in February. They do like a weekly little tribute with black superstars reading quotes from notable figures, African-American figures. This week was a Rosa Parks thing, and then that led immediately into Bianca Belair, kind of a little video montage with her parents, and I'm like, that the best place to put that? Does that feel a little bit token to you guys? Because it felt token to me. And I don't know, just made me feel kind of odd. I'm like, but exact same thing that happened from SmackDown. Here's her parents jumping on the couch. It's like, yeah, we just saw that 2 nights ago. But whatever, there's again. So, of course, now is everybody's favorite part of the night, the part where Ric Flair opens his coffin and comes down to the ring with, and I say come down to the ring. I use that word very gingerly. Yeah, a fire suit. His suit was the highlight of this entire next segment, which took up a solid 25 minutes of airtime, which... God, I don't know how. He was baby stepping all the way to the ring. It made me just sad. There's been a few moments in life when Rick was like at rock bottom, like in his TNA days when he was hitting the pills hard. You're just like, oh, Rick. It felt like this, but we know he's sober now. It's just like, do you really need the money this bad, Rick? Why are you doing these? Why are you doing this? What does Vince have on you?
He certainly looks like he drank from the wrong grail.
Yeah, and it's not because he's like he used to be. He's not abusing anymore. He's just 82 years old.
He can't. He is incapable of consonants at this point. Yeah. It's just mush mouth.
Don't have an 82-year-old.
His head looked like it's about to pop off.
I feel guilty just having it on my TV. So he came down with Lacey Evans to address Charlotte about why he was doing this. It wasn't anything to do with that because he wanted to prove that he could still train anybody, and it was awkward. The whole thing was just awkward the whole time. Charlotte came down. That was awkward too. Then they go to commercial. And they come back from commercial and they do a backstage I don't like it. This is weird. So they have people in the ring. They can do this because there's no live crowd, of course. But they have people in the ring with a segment that they already started. But they're going to do a promo in the back before they return to this, whatever the fuck it is, match, a promo, whatever. I don't like any of that at all. I especially don't like it when their backstage promo in this instance was Bad Bunny. And
it's Bad Bunny.
I knew that. I only wanted to mention this so I could hear you say that. Yeah, he's in Damian Priest corner again tonight. Shocker. Excuse me. So cut back to Charlotte and Lacey. They're actually doing a match now. So there's that. At some point in time, Rick even made mention that they should team up as a tag team. And I go, that's the only thing that would redeem this. Only thing is but that makes sense. That's not going to happen.
Hold on. Are you saying we're going to have a former world champion beat the hell out of somebody, but they earn their respect, and then they become a tag team, and we'll call them the Mega Powers?
It's a reoccurring theme. Yes, I know. That doesn't happen, though, because Lacey reveals to her that if she beats her tonight, she gets a title shot at Asuka. And Charlotte gets herself disqualified by just not breaking the 5 count in the corner and beating the piss out of Lacey. So Lacey wins and gets a title shot at Elimination Chamber.
Is it Elimination Chamber or is it the next Raw?
It's Elimination Chamber. It's Elimination. I just think of it as next Raw, but it's the pay-per-view. Then the Edge comes out for an update, quote unquote, which leads to Ms. Morrison and Angel Garza coming out.
Which his hair was on point because he doesn't have the slick back anymore. I have to say, Angel Garza looked pretty damn good.
He looked good.
I'm not afraid to say it.
And that's about where it ended. And of course, Edge did have a couple good quips at the Miz, and it was fine. But of course that led into, because Garza had a match with Priest next, and Priest of course had Bad Bunny in his corner.
It's Bad Bunny,
who now has his own intro and pyro, by the way.
I mean,
why?
Why not?
Why are we doing this? Just stop it. Just stop. But
they're obviously setting up a tag team match.
It's very reminiscent of in TNA when R-Truth teamed up with Pac-Man Jones to win the TNA World Tag Team titles. Get back! It's a Pac-Man Jones. That was R-Truth's rap song that he made for them. So it is a terrible match, as you can guess it. Super short. Garza's buried like a son of a bitch. Priest wins. Bad Bunny's walking around in like silk short sleeve pajamas. I don't know. don't.
Bad Bunny.
If this is how they're gonna do Priest, that's not confidence inspiring for him. But he still has his original intro music and his full name, which I cannot say the same thing for the people in the next match because it's Riddle versus Keith Lee. And Keith Lee now has no mention of bask in his glory in his music or anything. It's completely now just been totally stripped away from him. This should be a headline match for a pay-per-view. Should be. Not the way they did it tonight. Not the way they're doing either of these guys. But it's a decent match. Pretty good match. The two can hold their own, and they're obviously setting this all up as a play against Lashley. After that, there's an Orton promo where he's reliving his feud with Drew McIntyre. So he's already moved on from Alexa Bliss. That's great. Nia Jax and Lana, which ended up being the worst and best moments of WWE in the past 6 months, all in the same breath.
Yes.
And I'm going to get into it here because this was grand. I know that we're running a little bit longer than we wanted to tonight. But once again, thank you guys for sticking around, listening in. We're going to split these up into 2 shows, obviously, because as you see, covering everything in one show can't be a short matter. But Nia Jax and Lana are set up as a tables match. So, of course, that has to start with them going through a montage of Nia putting Lana through a table. Like, literally, they had a running counter in the top corner showing the number of weeks.
9 times.
Yes, 9 times.
9 times.
Which,
like Ferris Bueller, 9 times.
9 times. So, and my only thought as this match started is like, well, I guess that Miro got too big of a pop on AEW, and Vince literally wants to murder Lana. That's got to be it. He's looking to just end it for once and for all. They kept going through it. I just was like, why is this happening? Lana got no moves in, just getting the shit kicked out of her. And then as it's nearing its eventual conclusion, Nia Jax takes and throws down Lana near the ropes. And literally, I can't believe she said this. She actually pulls out some training day and says, King Kong ain't got shit on me. And I'm like, wow, that actually got picked up on live TV. I can't believe it. Little did I know that was not going to be the memorable part of the match because Lana then rolls out to the apron, which Nia Jax steps through the ropes and goes to do a leg drop to her on the apron, which, of course, Lana rolls off the apron, and there's nobody there. It's the hardest part of the ring. So Nia Jax hits the leg drop there and immediately goes into oversell mode and exclaims that she broke her hole. She goes, ow, my hole.
Yeah, she starts out, oh, my butt. And then she's like, oh, my hole. And then,
ow, my hole.
The internet has
all
been
you do, the
all
internet
over.
blew up. WWE's already edited it from your YouTube and from their official website, the recap of those videos. There's no mention, it's bleeped out, and there's no mention of it at all. But go to Twitter and look for the my whole tag. It is fantastic, the memes that are out there. There is a callback to 2 of the other most ridiculous body part calling matches ever. They're both from variations of TNA. So in the TNA, when Bully Ray was there doing the Aces and Eights, terrible promotion, Taz was part of it. Taz was on commentary, and Bully got kicked in the nuts. And he screamed out, he goes, Taz! Yeah! My balls! I know, I saw. So the my balls. And then there was Shelly Martinez was in perhaps one of the worst women's wrestling matches ever. Botchmania has a fantastic YouTube video going over this match. I highly recommend checking it out. Shelly Martinez versus Rebel. And it was in the post AJ TNA before they became Impact fully. They were still kind of somewhere between the both of them. TNA, Impact, TNA. Who knows what's what? But Shelly Martinez, who had a lot of potential, but never really lived up to it, which is a shame because she had some good personas.
She was Ariel in ECW.
She was part of LAX, the original LAX. And I loved her as both of those, especially the LAX variant. I thought she was great. But her in-ring was never that polished. And so this is a match where everything was just a total botch. But the key to it is at one point Rebel, who at the time was green, very green, very, very, very green. She goes to pull what can only be described as a leg scissor banana split. I don't know what it was, but it was a leg scissor on one of her thighs while she was wrapped with her arms around the other knee. And you just heard Shelly yelling, my vag, at the top of her lungs. So, the internet has taken this new blessing that Nia Jax has given us, and of course it's copied into the old Kellis song, my neck, my back. It's now edited out where she gets to the refrain and it goes, my balls, my vag, my hole. It's great. Look it up on Twitter. It was great. Of course,
Nia need to retweet that.
Nia gets pushed carelessly by Atlanta, and she goes through a table, and then that's the match. Yay. That's not enough, so we have Naomi versus Shayna, because don't you forget, Naomi and Lana are the number one contenders to the women's title. And I'm not going to start on that again because I'll just get too goddamn mad. But Naomi wins over it with a bullshit rollover. There you go. This is a feud that's happening. It's probably going to be on the pre-show to Elimination Chamber or fuck, I don't know. It ends with our quote-unquote main event. I say quote-unquote because it's Drew and Orton again. Like, they got to do a 5-minute montage showing all the goddamn matches they've done with this. At this point, I'm just getting more and more mad. It's stupid. It's bad. Drew wins. There's no mention of Alexa or the Fiend whatsoever. And that's due to a sad reason. Alexa, actually, there was some idiot fucking stalker. And if this guy, by some chance, or anybody that knows him listens to this, I hope they do, because this guy's a first-class piece of shit. He was basically calling in death threats on Twitter to her fiance Ryan Cabrera, and it's like, fuck you, guy, fuck you.
He should be happy for that guy. He should be happy for Ryan Cabrera.
No, because he's convinced that he's marrying Alexa. This guy is this guy's not mentally this guy's not mentally stable, but still, police were involved and all that stuff. So because of that, this is what I heard. I don't know. I can't confirm any of this. I'm not a dirt sheet. I just read the shit on the internet. But apparently that this is kind of like, he actually made specific mention that when she lands in Orlando that she's going to, put him to sleep forever, more or less. So it's like, okay, that makes a good sense why Alexa was not there, because, stuff happened with, Sonya Deville has stalker, Mandy's, unfortunately, these women, especially as sexualized as they get through WWE's promotional stuff, they get some bad people after them a little bit of time. So that's why terrible. It wasn't mentioned at all. All this kind of the whole main event with Drew felt like filler anyway. I don't know. The only good thing to really come out of this show was Nia Jax is my hole. That's it.
Not even Bad Bunny.
You need to stop with that. I might start drinking whiskey. I'm not a whiskey guy, but that might just flip me.
You're supposed to drink a Corona. Bad Bunny wants you to drink Corona.
Oh God, no, none of this is happening. It was bad. It was shit. There was a couple glimmers of hope in there, but they were quickly quashed. I hope for the life of me, I still do want to see Xavier Rhodes versus Mia Yim. Let's see it. Let's make that happen. So that's what we got. Wow. If you have any thoughts on the shit show that was WWE this week, did you watch any of it?
I did like the Riddle Keith Lee match. It wasn't anything AEW caliber, but for watching it, it was worth my time.
Well said.
Okay. Like I said, it should be top of the card, but yeah, we know Bruce and Vince, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't like people who smoke weed because Vince tells me he doesn't like people who smoke weed.
Well, they're sure playing deep in that angle for not liking people who smoke weed. So, any final thoughts on WWE, either of you guys here, so we can wrap this shit up?
Can we never talk about it again?
No, actually, we will start talking about it exclusively one day a week starting next week. So, it's good. It's a good to release. So it's very much a yin and a yang here. We have the joy of good promotions and good booking and character development and long-term storytelling. And then we have whatever the fuck WWE is doing. So it's a good kind of gets everybody circled back in.
I just love the fact that we don't consider NXT WWE, even though they totally are.
I know. They absolutely are. And at times, there's stuff in WWE NXT is frustrating, but it's still just so distinctly different. And we'll see what happens. So let's do this. Let's wrap up here. I know we run over 2 hours again this week. I'm sorry for those of you listening. They're like, get to the point. I get it. I know. Well, by splitting this up, it's going to be much more conducive for quick listening. I know. But let's go ahead and talk about everybody's It Factor of the week. I don't know who we start with next week, but we're going to start with Nick for the It Factor this week. Nick, what was your It Factor from wrestling from this past week?
Dude, 100% the final match in AEW when we had the Bastard Pack with Moxley and Ray Phoenix, and then we had the Bullet Club on the other side.
Straight fire.
Amazing. Definitely the It Factor.
Straight fire. There's no argument there. We could go on that match for a whole show. Kick ass. Jamie, what about you? What was your It Factor for the week?
Well, since you picked that match, I am going to go with the Thunder Rosa Britt Baker We Have Arrived match. I think that was definitely it. They set a tone now that the rest of the women need to follow, and I think they're the right two to lead it.
1000% concur. We've already talked about it ad nauseum, so I'm with you there on that. I'm gonna go a slightly different direction. I'm actually gonna choose the Otis. No, I'm not. No, it's never gonna be Otis. I'm sorry. No, I am gonna actually choose from a different show though. I'm gonna choose the Undisputed Era and Thatcher Ciampa, the last quarterfinal match, the main event of NXT this week. Like I said, if you look in a book about how to properly build a match, start the slow, that was a match that did. It could have been, if there was an audience and it was a pay-per-view, that could have been a 40-minute match. It was well done. Not quite the same fire as the same Spotfest as, Pac and Omega and Phoenix, but it doesn't have to be. It's still four guys who are on top of their game, and it was everything that you expected a main event to be. So
and remember, it's not Ciampa and Thatcher; they're the mega powers now.
I'm not going that way. We're not. No. Bruce, get off of our podcast.
Just listen to me. Vince listens to me. I'm a big deal. It's the mega powers.
Oh, fuck me running. All right. Well, thank you, everybody who put up with this to the end, especially with that. Bruce, bane of my existence. Once again,
yes.
Just remind everybody. So this is getting released on Wednesday, February 10th. We will be releasing now, starting with this Friday, the 12th. We will be releasing 2 podcasts a week, splitting this up, making them a little shorter here. Talking, if you only want to hear about us bitching on WWE and have Bruce Pritchett along with The Ride and Bad Bunny, you can check in every Wednesday, continue with that trend. If you want to hear about good wrestling, we'll be talking about that on Friday's podcast. Once again, everywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Amazon, Apple. I know that we were a little delayed last week because we're still waiting for some approvals to come through, but everything should be good on all those fronts.
Yep.
Check out our website as well. You can follow us on Twitter at Toto Spotfest. Pretty soon we will be releasing the podcast on YouTube as well. So I know there are people who like to use YouTube for the listening of podcasts. So give you as many options as possible. Check in with us on Twitter for any and all announcements. Nick, Jamie, as always, is wonderful shooting the shit with you guys. Any final words?
It's all pleasure's all mine.
If you're not down with TSL, we got 2 words for you.
Piss off! Oh, wait, that's not right.
Suck it!
All right. Thank you, guys. We will talk to you next time. Take care.